That's right. I see you guys back there lighting a match. Listen, take a seat for a second. This is going to be a great show. I'm very excited about this. And just last second, we get another surprise panel member here, which just excites me to nth degree. Can't believe it. Very excited about tonight. Guys, what a show, right? A lot of news this week. A lot of news we were just saying before coming out from the Xbox camp, but also big game releases, right? This is, I think, right from now, right till June, we've got release after release after release. There's a lot of games coming out. There's a lot to talk about. Guys, if you'll go ahead and take a second there while you're hitting that like button, subscribe button, hit a button. There's an outstanding description right there. I take a few minutes there every day to write that. It's for you guys. It's not for me. It's for you. Shout out to Dragon Heart Yobi. Great to see him. Mooch, it ain't easy. It's definitely not, Yobi. You know that. But guys, really, right above that description is the join button. And I got to say, I'm overwhelmed. DC Gaming. I see you, boy Roy, Rob Jones, the great Jimmy Harrison, all you guys that are here. You guys have come back to the channel, joined the channel. You've gifted subs out. This is phenomenal. I can't thank all you guys enough. It just means the world to me. And the best I can do, the least I can do, is to say each one of your names out loud here. Let me just thank the great Sir X-Man, JudaZuk, WoolleyGamer, MumbleRanting Gaming, Tyson Web 509, TrueWiddy, Big Chuck 777, Alphonso Carter, BRAP, Jamie, Damion, the great Jimmy Harrison, who's here, Andy Hart, Isaac Gentry, ArchWarAngel, Red Hood 420, who you might hear from real soon, Ham Solo 05, who's got a great podcast on the way. I won't ruin it. He's got an unbelievable show that's coming up in the next week or so. Rob Jones, who's here, Dad of War, Night Ripper 7, Toto Dope, Kratos 99, the great Kratos 99, Thumbs, great to have Thumbs back, Jan Watkins, and guys, let me make sure the audio's all right. I see the great Zuby Tech has made it from over there across the pond. He's in the chat too. Shout out to Zuby Tech and all the work he does for us out there in those gaming streets. And our major Mooch Maniacs, Truth Serum, Brosy Brosum, Raji, Chris 713, Newtonian, your boy Roy, Scolari Brothers, Smokes 901, Julian Johnson. Talk about a real gamer. That's the man right there. Shout out to Julian. DC Gaming, Miko, Gaming with Persona, and Jay Barry, who are not. They're not doing a show tomorrow morning because they're gaming. That's what they do. So shout out to both of those guys. We're going to miss the show. Domino Zero, Supreme Samurai, Tactical Gamer, Danelle Brown, That Guy Smitty, 4-Star General, Brian B, a.k.a. Delirium Blades, and our VIP Mooch Maniacs, Marty, Ambassador Bison, pardon me, Dre Watson, a.k.a. D-Watt, Shadow Assassin, Strictly. Shout out to Strictly Gaming and also the wise old gamer. And our honorable mentions, you're out there without food, water, or toilet. We miss you. Come home. Percolator 9000, Frostbite Slash, Hustle, Motivate, Slang, Chilean, Forkboy Gaming, and our forever Mooch Maniacs Longshot 316, and the great Optimus Code. Guys, just take a second real quick and hit that like button. Tweet it out. Let people know that we're here. We've got a great panel, and we've got more people on the way. They're literally writing me right now. Mooch, I'm driving home. I'll be there momentarily. I said, take your time. We got a lot of show to go over. So without any further ado, you guys might know him as Hugo Spencer tonight. He's known as BRAP during the week. Let's see if we can actually get a Hugo. I actually have a sound effect that I don't think that my panel can hear, but this is for you, Hugo Spencer. So that's for the, yes, the chat will enjoy that. I'm pretty sure you can't hear it, BRAP, but nonetheless, the audience can.
I heard it.
Shout out to you, buddy. How you doing, BRAP?
Alicia, I'm here.
Alicia, jump through the window. Go ahead, please, BRAP. Good to have you here tonight, buddy.
I'm here. We have lots of games to talk about. 10 dogs in the house, Alicia.
It's gonna be great.
I just want to say something real quick. It is it's always a special treat for me when Tim Dog is on the show because, like, Tim Dog's actually like the first person that I connected with with me on Twitter like 10 years ago. Tim Dog. It's been 10 years now, by the way.
Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's like Tim Dog was he was Project NATO fan back in the days, and a lot of people, I don't meet a lot of that, but I always think about Tim Dog and what's his face, Major Yanos.
Yeah,
so
still we can't find where he is, but if he's ever
he's
around,
out there.
Can we give a shout out?
He is out there.
Well, Tim, he's hiding. You know what? He's hiding at this point.
Yeah, well, we thought he was an executive. It was a weird situation with it. I don't know if you remember that with the whole thing.
It was. Remember, like he was like a disgruntled, like what did he get like fired by Microsoft or something?
Yeah,
I don't
for sure.
Yeah, but
he knew people and stuff, but he just left. He just one day just gone.
He left after they dropped the Scorpio, the 1X. That's when he
The
left.
day of the Scorpio. Yep.
Yeah, that's when he left. I remember because his big thing was underpowered console, this and that.
These guys
Then
got
Microsoft.
you guys have memories so like a memory like an
Oh,
elephant. You guys
Mooch.
are great.
You don't understand? Like Tim is literally one of the first people I connected with in Twitter gaming. Like it's kind of funny. Like it goes back to 2013. I remember Tim first E3 and then, like posting pictures. It was I mean it's funny, man. Like it's it goes back that far, and so it's kind of cool. Like here we are 10 years later, we're still talking about video games. Mooch, my history goes back with you pretty far too, back to like
Absolutely
2014, 2015, where we blocked each other.
We did. That's healthy.
Here we are. Imagine
I think
that,
there's something out there called a healthy block, and then you unblock, and you're just better after that. It's like a steam. You know what I mean? You're just better after it. So let me tell you, Brad, just so you know, though, the audience is saying too, your microphone is botting a bit. It's crackling a bit. It's doing that thing it did. Just the fix.
Lower
Lower
the gain.
Yes.
Yeah, let me lower it down. Yeah.
All right. As BRAP is doing that, let me go ahead and announce that the great BitCloud Gaming. I don't know how long I get to have Bit here tonight, but I'm doing something. I usually mooch games. I'm mooching his time. So Bit, I'm just so glad that you're here, man. Great RGT before it. I tweeted it out. I listened to a bit of it, but it's great to have the great BitCloud with us. If you're hearing an echo, it's just BRAP fixing his microphone. We'll get through that. We're gonna get through this. Bit, how you doing tonight?
My God. I'm good, brother. Good to see you.
Appreciate it, Bit. Great to have you here, buddy. And his partner in crime, the great Red Hood 420. BRAP, I think you have to do something else. BRAP, you gotta leave and come back. I love hearing myself, but not this much.
I feel like I have a headache.
It's crazy. BRAP. Did he fix it? He might have.
So.
He muted himself. Thank you, BRAP. We appreciate that. Red Hood, great to have you here, buddy.
Great.
It sounds great. The great Bit is here. Red Hood, you're here too after doing another podcast back to back. Red, how you doing this evening?
That's good. It's kind of like a mini RGT within a CrossFire.
Yeah.
Having all three panel members here, which is pretty funny to think about. But no, I appreciate it, Mooch. It's gonna be a good episode. And it's going to be some good talking points. A lot of news to cover. What's up?
Funny? We went to go cash the check and it bounced, so he has a lot to explain.
We might have to ask Hunter.
Tonight's gonna be a hybrid. That's a great point, Red. We really do have a hybrid between RGT and the great CrossFire. Naturally, I'll go ahead and promote that. But I gotta say, since I might as well go ahead and say the third member of RGT who's here with us tonight, next gen player. You guys know him as Hunter on Twitter. Hunter, listen. Even though I only get to hang out with you formally once a year, I don't care. I'll take it. Hunter, it's great to have you here, buddy. You're very well versed as well. And we have quite the educated panel tonight. Hunter, how you doing this evening?
Oh man, I'm doing great. It's great to be here. Yeah, like you said, man, it's been a year. I gotta come on here more often, man. What am I doing?
Well, that's all you
I
had
gotta
to
come
say.
on here, yeah, like every month or every quarter.
Yeah,
but no, this is cool, man. It's like the boys are all back here. I didn't even know that there was an RGT earlier today because Bit didn't even let me know. So I'm not warmed up for podcasting. Like usually I'm on from 5 to 7. But starting out fresh here tonight, we got lots of cool topics, lots of cool games dropped, and big announcements. So,
well, remember, Hunter, the great BitCloud is extremely well versed in his technical capabilities. He's just going to superimpose you into the show. It doesn't matter that you weren't there. You will be there on the replay. Trust me. That's the great BitCloud. He can do anything. But it is going to be a lot of fun tonight. I'm very excited. And, he's already spoke up. You guys know he's here. Very good friend of mine. Great to have him back on the show. I only try to bother Tim every so often. Tim does a lot of podcasts. So the great xCloud Tim Dog. Tim, great to have you back on the show. And listen, it's extra fun to bring you on. I think the last time you were on was after the Xbox Bethesda showcase. Here we are again after this one. It's always great to get news from you. You talk to a lot of people in the Xbox camp. You're very informative. Tim, how you doing this evening?
Very good. Very happy to be here. Great panel. Listen, we go way back, Mooch. I've always been a big fan of yours.
Same.
You have the gift of the voice of radio, as we used to say. I'm dating myself.
It's right, radio. What's radio, right, Tim, now?
BGST days, Tim Dog.
Yes. No,
Yeah.
honestly, I do think that you could You should be probably on one of these shows or whatever. But
I'd love to, Tim.
very talented, and just a pleasure. We always click, and
Absolutely.
it's always good to be here. Especially after, like, I know we were talking about last week's show, but you said, you know what, let's probably better write it, instead of talking about stupid Activision or something like that.
That's not even on the agenda
we
tonight.
can talk about something that actually, it has some, validity to it. So
Absolutely.
happy to be here, and let's get it on.
Well, Tim, I always like to put the guests on the hot seat first. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and ask you first and foremost. And this is just kind of a fun question. It's more of a volleyball I'm throwing up to you. I mean, yesterday, or pardon me, the other day we had the Xbox Developer Direct. A lot of great things coming from it. We all have been kind of waiting, sitting on our hands. You've been very vocal on Twitter as well and other shows. We've been told, when we saw the Xbox Bethesda show, this was a 12-month outlook. Here we are. We're going into February next week. At this point, a lot of gamers, Xbox, Sony, Nintendo, PC alike, we're like, hey, guys, when are we going to start seeing some stuff from Xbox? So they come out, they do the Developer Direct, which I will give them credit. I think they finally found their footing. And it's no disrespect to anybody that hosted prior shows, but I think this is how they're going to go forward. I think they got tremendous success from it. I think everybody enjoyed it. It was very fluid. But Tim, not just the show itself. That's part one. How'd you think the actual new rhythm of the show went? But what did you think about what you saw from the games? Not only what you thought from now, but what you thought those games were going to look like. For example, like Redfall or Forza. Did they live up to the hype from what you thought and from some of the clips we saw from last year? And what'd you think of the show?
Okay, well, I'll answer the first portion. The first portion is I've been hearing that Bethesda really is putting their footprint on the show. I think Bethesda had, especially their team, or I guess their people, really had a big say, or their hands were all over this. So I do think that's listen, if you go back and you watch Bethesda shows like before they were with Xbox, they always hit. Peter Hines is really very good at that.
Yes.
So I think that was a lot influenced, and I did hear that. So and I do agree, it's going to be there. It's going to be interesting how they do E3, but it's going to be there the way they're going forward. You're going to see, obviously, the Starfield event. It's going to be similar to that. As far as the games, listen, Forza looked great. Looked very good. Redfall, I think it looked good. I do think that, I could see why some people have a little bit of criticism, but I do think it's a game that it's arcane. I don't think you're going to get that graphical, you're not going to get a Naughty Dog type game or something like that. They're just they're not that type of graphical type. You're gonna get something like this, what they previously had.
Yep.
Dishonored, I guess it was the
Dishonored.
game.
Dishonored.
Yeah. Right. So I think that was pretty much I want to see it further down the line. As far as the 12-month thing that you and I know that we'll probably tackle that. I think that was a mistake on their part, because when that happened, that was influenced by the reaction from the delay of Starfield and, Redfall out of the year. And as we know, 2022, as Phil said even today, was just not acceptable.
Yeah.
So they kind of were reeling, and like Microsoft does, they kind of they cornered themselves here with that. So
A little bit, yeah.
And we're going to talk about that. But yeah, that's what happened there. And they're going to have to climb out of that somehow. But overall, those are my takes. I do think, like I said, a little change in the guard as far as the way the presentation went.
Mm-hmm.
And listen, let's be honest. Nobody wants to see people talking. They don't want to see stupid, goofy jokes.
No.
They just want to see the games. And if somebody's going to be cringy, if it's a developer, we all just say, "Oh, that guy's brilliant as well." But if it's like another person from Xbox, we're just like, "Get this guy off the thing," we get aggravated. But I honestly, I felt like, them having the footprint on that and moving forward, it is the right way. And I'm sure we'll talk about it too. The shadow drop is very cool.
Yeah, that's part of the show, Tim. So what did you think about that? I mean, I've always been a fan of the shadow drops. I will say this much, and Tim, we talked about this for a decade now. on the shows we've done. When we like a shadow drop, when I think shadow drop, if I could just forget about for a second Hi-Fi Rush for a minute, and you say, Mooch, what would you like to see them shadow drop? Shadow drop, Redfall. You know what I mean? Like, hey, it was going to come out first half of the year. We're expecting March. We're expecting May. We're hearing all these ridiculous rumors. Guess what? Go home and play Redfall tonight. Okay, that for me, I'm like, wow. Okay, well, holy shit. We've been waiting, but that's one way to really throw the game at us. When I see a Hi-Fi Rush, I am not by no means, diluting it. Good game. A lot of people are having fun with it. But I mean, it's like a lot of games that are in Game Pass right now. There's a lot of those great games that people don't know about that are in Game Pass. They drop this one. It gets a lot of press. And, the one thing that I've been saying for a long time, Tim, then I want to hear the rest of the panel here, but I'm interested in your take. And honestly, I really want to hear what you think. It's almost a different, it's the other side of the coin from last generation, the Xbox One, PS4. I mean, you've got, don't get me wrong, Microsoft definitely catches its fair amount of slack. That's no getting around that. But, I mean, if this game was to have launched on a stealth launch at an E3 on the Xbox One era, this wouldn't have got the press it got. You know what I mean? This thing is just like people.
I mean, it is a good game. I mean, I have to say, I really am impressed by it. I played the first 2 levels. It's good. I think that we all the reaction it's gotten definitely proves that. Might not be for some rhythmic games, or not for some. I like it because I just feel like, even though I'm horrible, I just feel like I'm playing. I like the music and stuff like that. So it's for me, I do like those games. But I do think in the realm of this is going to be something that they're going to keep in their back pocket moving forward. From what I gather, talking to people from Xbox, I guess this is, they really were, planning. I guess they didn't know how it was going to react, but I think this is kind of a test for this.
Yeah.
And I do think that now this is something that they can, especially with a game that you don't want. There's two sides of the foot. Like, if this game came out at E3 and people saw it, I don't know if it would have, just the way we
made
are
the waves,
gamers,
right?
There would be misconceptions and stuff like that. And who knows? It could have been run through the gamut, and it wouldn't have gotten already going with misconceptions. So if you have like something like that, where you could just throw it out there, and obviously you're not going to do this with a Starfield. You're not going to even do it with a Forza, because those games need to have build up. And
they need the marketing. Yes, I agree.
Yeah, they need the marketing. The definition of a AAA is a heavily marketed game versus no thing. So obviously it's probably going to be double A's. And like for me, my wish would be like Killer Instinct would be perfect. You wouldn't even have to have that many characters. Like Killer Instinct 3, it would be my pick. But yeah, I do think it's going to be a moving forward thing, that they're going to keep this in their back pocket. And quite frankly, they can do it because of Game Pass. Because as you know, everyone subscribes, so they don't really have to worry about the sales as much as, say, Switch or Sony would be in this experimental, because they know that just people are going to it's part of the subscription, and it's an additive to really what they're trying for with the subscription. So that's basically my take on it, and I'd like to hear what everyone else has to say.
Absolutely, Tim, and I appreciate that. That was a good overall synopsis. The great Rob Jones here, he says, a great show, great panel, and great chat as always. Rob, that's a lot of greats, but on this channel there's just never enough. The great Jimmy Harrison says, grilling out, listening to you guys via earbuds. Let's go. Jimmy, thanks so much for being here. Shout out to Face23. Face, thank you so much for that super chat. He says, I'm enjoying Dead Space Remake so far on PS5, but in my opinion, Callisto Protocol looks better graphically than Dead Space Remake on console. Face, we're going to get into that. That is one of the topics tonight. By the way, Mooch is still looking for a code. You try to reach out to some of these publishers. There's no love out there. It's like, Tim, we've been working for 10 years. Can we get a code? Shout out to TrueWiddy. He says, Shadow Drop Hi-Fi, no reviews, but Forspoken gave out. Now, you know what, TrueWiddy? I think I know what you mean by that. And I know sometimes there's a language barrier there. Basically, what he's saying is that, Forspoken didn't, they dropped their game out for reviewers the day it launched, and it got, kind of crapped on, where Hi-Fi does an instant launch and there's still no review out there. Yeah, TrueWiddy, that is just a kind of a victim of circumstances. He comes back, he says, how is shadow dropping different from no reviews? I don't know why there's no reviews up still for, last I checked was a while back, but there still was no official review
Very
for
low.
Hi-Fi, yeah. So I don't know.
I just want to say, I know in regards to this, I know that Dan Stapleton was asked, and he's saying next week. So just people expecting it, like to drop like a lot. I don't think so. I think this was a surprise to them, and I don't think that you could tell somebody to play a 12-hour game and then do a review in 2 days. So expect Monday, Tuesday for the games to start or the reviews to start to drop.
No, that's a good, and I appreciate the Dan Stapleton reference. So I'll go to, let me, BRAP, if you don't mind, I wanted to get Hunter's take on it, and then I'll open it up to the panel here. Hunter, what did you think from the developer direct? I know you've been extremely positive on Twitter about it, but I was wondering if you got a chance to try Hi-Fi and what you thought of what you saw in Redfall, what you saw in Forza. I know Minecraft, I hate to say it because I know a lot of people go, well, Mooch, everybody plays Minecraft Legends. I know a lot of people play Minecraft Legends, but generally my panel members and generally the chat is not big onto Minecraft Legends. So that's why I kind of revert to the other games. What did you think, Hunter? What was your take on this week's developer direct?
So overall, I was pretty impressed. Microsoft has been trying different formats over the years, and I think that this is by far the best. I think people always say that I'm a big Sony guy and always favoring what Sony says, but I got to be honest, I've watched State of Plays the last couple of years, and I think what Microsoft delivered here, the format is better, in my opinion. It was more exciting. I love seeing the developers. I love seeing their studio. I love seeing their joking around. I like getting the little nuggets that they had in there, the little insights that we got from that. It's really exciting. I think State of Play they tried to copy what Nintendo was doing with Nintendo Direct, but it's like a lesser version. I still think Nintendo Direct is better than State of Play. But I think probably overall, I think Nintendo Direct is my favorite format, just because it's just nonstop. You know what I mean? It's just like a lightning round of games. But my second one for sure is Microsoft. I think they really nailed it. I like the whole, even just like the graphical elements of it, where it looked like it was on a Windows PC machine, and they had the little cursor dragging around, and they were drawing the little release dates on it. It was good, man. Overall, it was really good. I really hope Microsoft continues doing that format, because it really worked for me. In terms of the games, I have to say, so I'm not a big Forza fan, so I won't really talk too much on that. It looked good. I think it looks amazing. I think anyone who likes Forza is going to like it. I like the new audio improvements that they've done, the light of day, or time of day. Graphically, it looks a lot better. So yeah, man, I think it's going to deliver it better, because I think it's been 6 years since their last release, and they used to actually do releases. I think it was every other year, right? It was the Playground would do the other year. So yeah, I'm kind of wondering what have they been working on for 6 years? So I'm definitely going to play it, because I want to see what they've been working on and how big of an improvement it's going to be. In terms of the rest of the show, I think overall it was pretty good. Minecraft, I'm not a big fan of, but I've got a 4-year-old in the house, and so naturally we're going to be playing that game a lot. And I thought it looked fun, man. I'm going to play with my son. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to team up, and I liked how they had different strategies for taking down the fortresses. And I like sim games. I love building games. So I actually think I don't really play Minecraft at all. I've tried it for a bit. It's not really for me, but I actually think that the building version, the Minecraft Legends, I think this is actually going to be more for me. I'm more excited about that type of game. Redfall, I thought graphically was it was okay. What didn't really wow me. It's kind of I don't really know what to expect with Redfall. I'm excited. I'm kind of cautiously optimistic about that game. I think overall, I think the game looked kind of average, but the thing is playable, and probably there's some fun there. But I think when I think back to their previous games, right? Prey, Dishonored, those games were great. Yeah, I love those games.
Large scale too, very large scale games. Prey, for example.
Yeah, and the thing that I like about them is like Arcane really creates interesting worlds, right? So I may not be like so into the gameplay, I may not be so into the graphics, but the story of this game, like I want to find out. Like I want to know more about these vampires and why are they invading Redfall and who are these people, the four zombie killers that, or the vampire killers that you're playing as. Like I don't know, I just want to know more about the story, and I think that as long as they have elements like that, they've got cutscenes, they've got little logs that you can find, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think I'll be pretty excited. Plus, the other thing too is, you know, they're always really good at creating special powers for your playable characters,
Correct.
right? So
yeah,
I'm
Dishonored
excited
was a
to sort
real
of,
showpiece for that.
yeah, I can't wait to like, you know, fill out the skill trees and check out all the moves, and should be a lot of fun. I guess the last one is Hi-Fi. Surprisingly, I haven't actually played it yet. I've downloaded it, and I'm definitely gonna be playing it this weekend. I've been doing some like high priority game reviews right now that I've got to just motor through, and once I finish those, then I'm gonna be jumping right into that. But I think it looked amazing. I love Jet Set Radio. It reminded me exactly of Jet Set Radio. I'm like, it's pretty ballsy of them to drop it just like that, like a shadow drop. This is the kind of game that if they showed me a year ago, I would have been hyped about, and I would have been like, you know, thinking about this game all year long because it looked awesome. So yeah, man, it's cool. Like usually, like not a whole lot happens in January. You get a couple of big releases this year, but usually January is kind of slow, and it's cool that they basically like captured the media and gamer attention this week, which is what the Shadow Drop was meant to do. And I think, yeah, like I'm excited to play it.
It happened years ago, Hunter. You know, where the industry changed. You know, everything was always just focused on the holiday, and you still have to have a holiday presence, which is why it's funny because, you know, and I don't know how many people on the show on the panel had, you know, been listening to CrossFire over the past months. I've said this for the longest time. First of all, I feel like Starfield needs a little bit more time, and I think Xbox needs to have a big game this fall. So moving into the fall, yes, as much as it's breaking their promise, in air quotes, okay, it's something that I think they should do business-wise. But to get to your point, Hunter, now we're playing games all year long. You're not waiting for October, November, December anymore. We're playing games as early as January, and it's going right through. If you want to say there's any dead time, it's generally end of June or July. But as soon as you get to mid-August, we're ramping back up again. So, yeah, we have a plethora of games to play. And I have a question. I'll come full circle to Tim in a bit. But BRAP or Bit or Red, if you guys want to jump in, what did you guys think of the show overall? Please, yeah.
Definitely better than what we're used to. We're so mediocre.
True, but
better than we got before. I thought it was a nice start. Granted, not the announcements weren't all that great, but this is a start of something hopefully that's better. So for a start, I thought it was straight.
yes.
Redfall looked really good too, so that's positive. And everything else I didn't really care for. I didn't really care for Elder. Not like that, but yeah.
Yeah, you know, and that's, I think, Bit, you just kind of laid a volleyball up there. I was gonna throw it to Tim, but it's not just for Tim. It's kind of for anybody here. The one thing that Matt Booty said when shortly after he took over as head of Xbox Game Studios, is we heard him say, look, we're looking with Game Pass to make a lot more smaller games that are going to be fun and come out more steadily, right? And I think that's what you're seeing with Redfall, and I think that's what you're seeing with Hi-Fi Rush. These are the types of games where, you know, you used to see Arcane, and you might go, well, Mooch, they just made Deathloop. That was before they were acquired. They were already working on that. Now you're seeing these teams making smaller games. Yes, Starfield's a big one, but again, Starfield was also being worked on before they were acquired as well. So I think you're going to start seeing things coming out of Microsoft that are in not everything. They're probably going to have one or two or three, maybe upwards of 3 a year, maybe two only. Big, long AAA, like wow, like really like Starfield kind of size. But I think you're going to have to start to get used to a lot of these smaller types of games because they do have a service to provide in Game Pass. They have to have new content. And let's be honest, they are fully dependent on their first party, rightfully so. So that's the thing. When I see like a Redfall, I do think there was a bit of a downgrade. I think every game as it comes out gets a bit of a downgrade. Every game. I don't care what we're talking about. But yeah, BRAP, what do you think when you think about what you saw and the path we're taking as we go down the road here with Microsoft and what we're seeing from them. We're seeing more of these types of smaller burst games that are going to be able to give those opportunities for those developers to make another one in maybe 12 months or 18 months.
Yeah, well, like we talked about when you were on BRAP this Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern.
Great plug.
Shameless plug. Yeah, no, actually, no, thank you. But no, like we talked about it on BRAP this past Wednesday, like I think the panel agreed on the show Wednesday that like this format was great. It worked very well for Microsoft. Like I don't care to see people having conversations and holding cue cards. Like just give us like I forget who it was. Maybe it was Red Hood, I think, who mentioned Nintendo Direct and to an extent State of Play. It's like let the developers talk about these games, show us the games, and like just go through these games. It's like bam, 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 bam. That's what we want to see. Short and sweet to the point. You know, the other stuff is filler, and I'm glad they got rid of the filler. And so I hope that they can, and I think they will. I think they'll continue with this format because it works well. This was their best like non E3 showing, in my opinion, ever from Microsoft Xbox. So I do hope they continue doing that. With in terms of the games, like there was nothing there that spoke to me, and I knew that going into the show that like, look, I don't care about Forza, Redfall, like I don't care about Redfall. And the other stuff they show, like I just don't, it's nothing that really moves the needle for me. Anything from Microsoft right now that I'm really interested in is going to be Starfield because I'm a big Bethesda Studios fan. Love Bethesda. Almost went to work there.
That's right.
And like it just that's what I'm looking forward to from Microsoft this year in 2023. But I will say this: the stealth drop was nice. Like that was a nice surprise. Because no one expected that was going to happen, and it came out of left field. It like there was no leaks, nothing. They hinted at that.
No.
And the one thing that, and I'll say this, like, it's good if they do these things, and I think you said it, Mooch. Like, it's good if they release like Game Pass doesn't need like AAA releases like every quarter.
No.
They can release games like this. They can release like diverse games. And I'll tell you what, like I played Hi-Fi Rush. Look, I don't like rhythm games. I knew going into it probably wasn't gonna be for me, and it wasn't for me. But I wanted to give it a try anyway because I subscribed to Game Pass. I might as well use the service.
Right.
And I gotta say, like the creativity here from Tango GameWorks and the range, like I as a gamer, I appreciate that, and I think that they are bringing a level of creativity that we haven't seen from Microsoft first party in quite some time, and maybe Tango GameWorks can actually bring some of those, like, because I'll say this, I mean, and some folks might disagree with me, but Japanese developers are, in my opinion, and I go back to gaming, 40 years, are very creative in pushing the creativity envelope.
Yeah.
Not that the Western developers don't do it.
100%.
But like I think about games like Persona 5, and I'm playing Persona 4 Golden, which was a huge get for Microsoft.
Like a Dragon, Yakuza, like a Dragon.
Yeah, Yakuza. You think about like Sega. You go back to the Sega days, Panzer Dragoon, Shamu. I mean, like like they just a certain level of creativity with the Japanese developers that I just don't get with Western developers. And again, not that Western developers aren't creative, but it's a different level of spice to Xbox that I don't think they've had in quite some time. And I like it. But I will say this, while something like Hi-Fi Rush is nice, and I hope they release, those types of games on a regular cadence, my criticism with Microsoft still is they need something from a AAA perspective to move the needle. And they don't need to release a AAA game every quarter. They don't have to do that. But they need something that moves the needle for the platform. You think about games like Halo. Remember Halo 20 years ago, Mooch?
Right.
You think about Gears of War. You think about like, Ninja Gaiden on the original Xbox.
Yeah, Fable. Yeah.
Fable. I mean, like they need those things to move the needle.
Yeah.
The one thing that many of us appreciate about PlayStation is that they do all of this. They do the Hi-Fi Rushes.
Yeah.
And then they do the God of Wars.
Right.
And then they do the Horizon Forbidden West. And then they do the Strays.
Yeah, then you get the third-party deals like the Sifu's and the things like that, the Strays,
exactly.
and the Sifu.
The Final Fantasy VII remakes and all that other stuff.
Yeah, the Kendra Bridge of Spirits. That's the thing. It's like that's why when a lot of people are saying to me, Mooch, are you playing the hell out of Hi-Fi Rush? And I'm like, no. I mean, and that's not to be mean. It's just that this
you
would
gotta
be.
play it, Mooch.
I'm gonna.
Honestly.
But
Well,
I mean, do you know what? But Tim, I think BRAP made a good point. It's like where everyone on Xbox right now is saying, this is it. This is the game I've been waiting for. This is a game that would probably just on Nintendo or PlayStation would probably just get lost in the shuffle. I mean, Tim, do you see that or no? You think this is
a big hit? Honestly, listen, it's over 1,000 Metacritic on Metacritic on user score, 1,000 reviews, and it's at 9.3. So people are universally loving it. All I can say is just play the game.
Oh,
honestly.
absolutely.
It might not hit. It might not hit all of you, but for me. And like I think BRAP is very true with Japanese developers. They have a certain technique, and I love it. They always have the ability to. When I play the game, I'm smiling.
Yeah,
because it's
that's a great point.
You know what it is, and that's exactly with this game. I'm smiling and playing the game. So.
Yes.
Like I said, I agree with the creativity, and there's always a cat involved. I don't get that, but there's always like a
like Persona 5 Morgana.
Yeah,
that's
exactly. Morgana.
That's the culture. Absolutely.
But dude, even Forspoken has cats like everywhere.
Yeah. So
it's true. That's a good point. Yes, it does.
And I'm a dog guy. That's the only reason why I say I love games with dogs.
I'm actually a cat person.
Hey man, you got Final Fantasy 16 for dog.
Oh, there you go.
You do have Final Fantasy.
That looks great too. But no, I think that you guys, if you honestly, all bullshit aside, just play the game. Play the game with headphones, or good headphones, not a cheap headphone set.
Hey Tim,
or a good surround sound.
Tim, can you do me a favor? It's great. While I have Tim here, and Tim knows me. Froggy right here, he says, this is what happens every once in a while, Tim, and it's more of a, that's why I asked you the question. I think you answered it outstandingly. Froggy Wright says, not sure why you're downplaying it, Mooch. It's not a downplay. My question comes about is, I'm seeing the media and I'm seeing social media react to this game. And again, it's the question I asked Tim, if this game was shadow dropped during a June Xbox One E3, it wouldn't be this big of a deal. I'm just seeing a lot. Everything Tim said, I think, is gospel. Play the game, try it for yourself. I didn't play it, so I'm not even giving it a score or an opinion yet. I'm gonna play it over the weekend. I worked today, and then I legitimately got the show ready. But my point being is that it's not that I'm downplaying. I'm just saying I think this game, this is an opinion piece, that it's getting a little bit more hype than it probably would under other circumstances. The circumstances being Xbox hasn't had a game first party out in quite some time. And this, like Tim said, this is a very colorful, it's a very inspirational, it's got rhythm to it. It's joyful. You play it, you're not angry, you're not upset. It's just a happy-go-lucky kind of game. So it's getting positive vibes. That should continue. I just think that if this came out on Nintendo, PlayStation, or Xbox in a different time, it might not be getting the news it's getting.
You look at games like look at Forspoken, and that's on the other side.
Right.
That's the Xbox guys attack the game.
Right.
Correct. And then you have all that shit that goes on. It goes both ways. It goes both Xbox ways. And it goes PlayStation. For me, if that game came out in E3, I do think that it would be misconceptualized, and I do think it would be torn apart. And that's the one way you can avoid that. It's harder to do on AAA, obviously, but like I truly believe, like a game like Forza, a lot of times there's people take where everyone's going with it, and they don't really judge the game, and they forego, like it's like you go into the game with, and there's a lot of games we've all done it, like you go into a game with the misconception of really the game, or you don't give it a shot. A lot of times you're right, people are right, but sometimes it does get an unfair shake. And I just feel like I agree with you. I do think that it would have went through the rigors a little, and I don't know if there would be that much hype there. But then again, playing the game, you really, honestly, I can honestly say it brings a smile to my face, and I'm laughing at it, just quirky and funny. That who knows, you could rise above it all. But I understand where you're coming with that logic. I do think that that's part of it. It's just you know what it is, Tim, as you scroll through Twitter and as you watch YouTube, and we've been, like I said, we know a lot of folks, we talk to a lot of folks, you just see it and you're like, I think everything is great about it, but then you're like,
you know, it's almost getting like Halo and it's getting like God of War press, and I'm like, well, what do you know what I mean?
On that level though.
I don't
think it's on that
not.
level either. Too, yeah, but Mooch, real quick, I think the Tim's point about like this game would be scrutinized at E3, and I think it probably would, but I also think it would because Microsoft hasn't delivered again that and I've been saying this for the last 2 weeks that AAA game that moves the needle. I mean, they talk about the power of these Xbox Series X, 12 teraflops.
Yeah.
It eats monsters for breakfast. 56, whatever it is, cores, whatever, velocity architecture. But they haven't shown anything that speaks to that. And if you do that, you could do these things at E3.
Yeah.
You could show these types of games because no one's going to be like, well, wait a minute. Like, this is it? This is all, like, the competition's showing us things like Horizon Forbidden West. They're showing us things like God of War. They're implementing haptic feedback. I mean, like, they're doing things that speak to the marketing of the hardware that they were selling. That's what I think, again, where they need to deliver. They need to have something that moves the needle. If you go back 20 years, and for those who don't know, it's an Xbox Live beta tester.
Oh, no one knew that.
Yeah, most people don't. If you go back to like the original Xbox, and I don't know if you remember this, Tim, but remember the original Xbox had the internal hard drive, and they used to talk about that a lot. Ed Freeze would go on stage. The Xbox, the internal hard drive, allows developers to do things they can't do, and they weren't BSing. They had games like Morrowind. The Elder Scrolls Morrowind could only be done on the original Xbox because of the internal hard drive. You had Itagaki-san from Team Ninja.
Yeah.
Dogging PlayStation 2. PlayStation was the dominant platform, saying, you know what? That game isn't that console is not powerful enough for our vision and what we want to do with Ninja Gaiden. And when Ninja Gaiden released on the original Xbox, holy moly.
Yeah.
Like that game looked incredible. Incredible. It was a visual showpiece. On top of that, the gameplay was phenomenal. And before there was, Souls games, there was that Gaiden game, which was really hard. But like, I think that's what they kind of need, because if they do those things, when they do these shadow drops, that is the icing on the cake when they start doing these things. And think about Game Pass and the value proposition in Game Pass. If they could put games, these big AAA games that move the needle, that have the industry buzzing, that have consumers buzzing, and then you start sprinkling these little things like, Hi-Fi, Rush, like that's the icing on the cake.
Yeah.
And I think that will move the needle for them in terms of subscriptions. And I know Phil Spencer's I don't know if shadow dropping Hi-Fi Rush is going to bring in 7 million Game Pass subscribers. No, but it won't. But it will be the icing on the cake.
What I think it does is it helps retain the ones they have, which is fine, by the way. Yeah, that's fine.
I'm not saying it's going to bring a lot of people in. It might bring some people in. But my point is, it's something else to kind of round out the portfolio of diversity content,
right?
Which
I think Game Pass is quite
for doing.
I think Game Pass is quite diverse already. To be honest with you, I find it very hard to scroll through that library and not find a bunch of different types of games. I mean, they have everything in there from kids games all the way up to serious games to horror games to whatever you want. You know what I mean? To rated R game. They have everything in there. We have some great super chats here. Shout out to Moneybag97. He says Redfall looks great in 4K. Trailer's a big difference. Shout out to Moneybag. The great Sir X-Man, you guys knew this was coming in. Sir X-Man, we're going to talk about this in a minute. He says, waiting to download Forza on PC, take my money. You're going to be waiting a little longer there, Sir X-Man. We're going to talk about that right after this. The great Andy Hart here, he says, EA Motive nailed it with Dead Space Remake. Shout out to Andy Hart. Andy, I couldn't help but agree. From what I'm seeing so far, it looks really good. DC Gaming, by the way, DC, thank you so much again for gifting another 5 major Mooch Maniac subscriptions to the channel to people out there and giving a super chat. Thank God it's Friday. Cheers for a good show, fam, and shout out to the panel. DC, thanks for being here, man. I truly appreciate all the things you do on Twitter. You keep it gaming 24/7, dude. You don't get into any of the BS. Shout out to DC. Andy Hart says, Dead Space Remake is awesome on Series X. Hope they green light to make Dead Space 2. I think that's going to happen, Andy. I really do. Andy's back. He says, anyone on the panel looking forward to PSVR 2? We're going to talk about that a bit. I think there's a couple of us. I know I have it pre-ordered. The great WoolleyGamer has been a channel member for a very long time. Shout out to Wooly. He says Hi-Fi Rush equals Metal Hellsinger, the Wet Lettuce edition. And, I will say this much. So the one thing I will say with Wooly that he's making my point in the chat here is he says, Mooch, what I don't understand is why a rhythm game base doesn't require you to play to the rhythm. And the other point that I made is he says it's like Rollerdrome. I don't know if you guys remember this, but this was a smaller game released on PlayStation called Rollerdrome. And he says being classed as a game of the year 10 out of 10. It's not. It's competent, but damn, what are we doing here? That's kind of what I'm saying when you have games like Rollerdrome that, again, not quite as pop with the, there's a beautiful color palette that's going on here on Hi-Fi that's not on Rollerdrome. Rollerdrome's a little bit more drab. But again, Rollerdrome's that cartoony, you're on roller skates and you get like powers while you flip and you blast things left and right. So instead of rhythm, it's more timing and air-based. But that's kind of what I meant. This is getting like magnitude of press, and you had a game like Rollerdrome, which I think is a step lower than Hi-Fi Rush, but I get that comparison, and Rollerdrome was completely swept under the rug in a half an hour. Shout out to Kubini Gaming. He says CD Keys posted leaked Starfield 3/23/23. He goes, shout out to the great, I believe it was the great Jez Corden. Jez said that he would not put much faith in that. I saw it on Twitter. I'm not quoting him. I'm paraphrasing, but I don't believe that is going to be true. Red, let me go to you, and then we're going to switch subjects slightly here. Red, what did you think of the show? And overall, what me, Tim, BRAP, Bit, and Hunter have been talking about. What have you been able to kind of put together here, and want to throw your 2 cents into the ring?
I think the Xbox Developer Direct was probably the best format to go for, and probably going forward. If they're even their E3 events, I think should kind of be like similarly formatted. The games that they showed, I don't really care for them. I think Hi-Fi Rush was the game I was interested in until it was like rhythm-based combat, which I'm not a big fan of. It's usually how I am, but I know a lot of people are.
Yeah.
So it's like definitely up a lot of people's like avenues. So, but like Forza, I'm not a big racing guy. I don't care for GT. I don't care for Need for Speed. So that's something I didn't care for. Like I said, Minecraft, I don't either. Like majority of you guys, as well as ESO. Actually, I'm big into like Final Fantasy 14, so that's not gonna like take me off. I'm big into Endwalker, and then the new expansion come out probably next year. So like there's more content for 14 coming, so it's not gonna like deter me from going from 14 to ESO. But for ESO players, from what I'm hearing, it sounds like it's pretty good content coming from the next expansion. So, and then Redfall, I'm not big into the co-op like Borderlands-esque shooters, and also I haven't liked Arcane since Dishonored 1. So Redfall's not really up my avenue either, but like I said, there's other games I'm more interested in when it comes to Xbox, like pretty much Obsidian, like Outer Worlds 2 and Avowed.
Yes,
because
I would say
Pillars of Eternity is like niche, but is really good, and people should play that game.
Avowed is the game that I'm the most looking forward to of all the games we know that are coming out in the next year to couple of years. Avowed has got my interest for sure.
Oh yeah, because like Obsidian, like a lot of people don't realize this, and people put Todd up a pedestal. Like Obsidian writing as well as RPG mechanics are like by far the best of any like Western studio. I think Larian's like pretty close to like maybe top like 2, but that's what I really want.
Fallout.
Yes, New Vegas. I love New Vegas. I'm replaying it right now. So.
You see this footage right here that I have from the Developer Direct that's on screen right now if you guys are able to watch the show. And, this is Arcane right here. And the thing about it is it really does, it gives you that Dishonored. It gives you that, pardon me, I just said it. The game that they just released. Deathloop, yes. It gives those vibes of the stealth and the way that you can distract your opponent or the enemies before you can go in and do a stealth. You can also go in guns blazing. They've always give that offer or that option, pardon me. Red, I think that's a really good point you make there. I mean, I think a lot of people are in that camp too. But Tim, I want to go back to you real quick here. The great Jeff Grubb came out today and he said, listen, this is rumor, okay? I have it as rumor as well, so as it scrolls through. But it looks like Forza Motorsport might not be releasing the first half of 2023. What do you think about that? Do you think that that's a true thing that Jeff might have heard? And do you also think that that impacts also Starfield? Because, if you've got Redfall dropping in May, I would find it hard to believe we're going to see Starfield till fall, and that goes, I think, for Forza.
Well, what you said made a lot of sense. You said from a business sense, it probably makes better sense to release it in September or October. I agree 100%. Like I said earlier, Xbox in Xbox style shooting themselves in the foot because they were lacking last year, kind of wanted to crutch the hurt or whatever you want to however you want to phrase it, and they put this stupid 12-month thing. At this point, I think the 12-month thing's thrown out the window. They're going to take a major L on that. I do think there's a possibility that we might get a little surprise with Forza, but Jeff is so good and his sources are good. And I've heard from my sources the same thing.
Okay.
And I've heard about the delay a week ago. So I do tend to believe it's true. And, these are the same sources that I knew about the show, and I knew about the Starfield not being in it. One thing I have to say is that people talk to me because they know I don't say anything. I just keep my mouth shut. And I've learned to just, if you get a piece of information, never try to tease. Never really. I mean, I have teased sometimes, but you never really ever give yourself away. And I think I've built trust up where I have people that tell me these things.
Yeah.
And not from Xbox. These are people, pretty much the same group of insiders where I think Grubb gets a lot of his stuff, because all the stuff usually comes in. So I do believe Grubb is correct. And for me, like you said, a business sense and a gaming sense in a way, you wouldn't want to say, because of the stupid promise, have Redfall, Starfield, and Forza in a month, or like in a month.
That's not. I don't think that's good. I don't care how you're dropping it, whether it's a service or you're dropping them traditionally. I don't think it's a good way.
Yeah, I think it's a foregone conclusion. You are going to probably have two. I think you're going to have Forza delayed, and I think that you're going to have Starfield delayed. To give them more breathing room, and they're going to take an L, and rightfully so, because listen, I know Nano, a big Xbox fan. He's like, Tim, that's not right. The way I look at it is, listen, I'm not going to kill them over on it, but it is something that they need to work on, and they need to, they can't do that anymore. You can't make promises to fans and not keep them. It's why they sometimes get the scrutiny that they get, because they, listen, you're in a precarious position last year. The best thing you should have done, the worst thing, you never ever do that again at E3. Saying it's 12 months. When everyone's hype was deflated once we heard that. Never ever do that. People want to hear about future stuff.
Yep.
So never do that again. That was not a good idea. It backfired, and here we are. So yeah, I do think that they're both going to get delayed, but I don't think it's going to be. What I heard from Starfield is it could release in July, and could possibly release, but it sounds like September. So if, let's say that that's true, and it's in September, maybe October, or first week, you're gonna probably land. You can land Forza whenever, in August or even September. Early September. And then Starfield early October. You could do that, but they're going to have availability to space it. It's just that unfortunately, and to the Xbox fans and even people who come to me, and they don't, I agree. They screwed up and it was wrong, but also you have to realize this is a development. Development does take time, and you could even argue that Redfall could use more time in the oven. But I do think that there's a little pressure on other ends too. So I do think that it'll all work out. But the 12-month promise, they're gonna have egg on their face.
Yeah, probably when it came down to it, I couldn't believe it because we hadn't heard of it prior to the show. Then last June when we were doing the show live here, they're like, well, we're going to do a 12-month. Now, normally I would think that's not a problem. And if you think about it, because 2022 was going to be a bit dry, I think the Xbox brass probably said, you know what, doing a 12-month really gives us some extra time. But as we know in development, the shit can hit the fan at any point in time. So
100%.
that's the thing where you say, well, and I agree with you, Tim. And I wouldn't, honestly, I've never really been hard on holding them to the 12 months, because at this point, we all say this a million times. I'm even tired of saying it, right? Release a good game is better than releasing a broken game. We know that, right? And I'm not even doing the slogan justice.
But Mooch, if you're gonna like, and that's the part that frustrates me. Like, software development shouldn't be new to Xbox leadership. Like, there are going to be things that happen. Like, they're going to miss certain production deadlines. That's going to happen.
Happens across the board, yeah.
Yeah, but have a plan B. Don't put all your eggs in the basket. And that's my criticism of the leadership at Microsoft. Like, they put all their eggs in a basket for certain games released in a 12-month period. But when those games are released, there's no backup plan.
Yeah.
There's no, money hatting, a third-party game to release in Game Pass, right? There's nothing.
Yeah.
And so they got to figure that piece out, because, I mean, this isn't a problem that's going to go away. I mean, like, development issues are going to happen.
That's a good point.
Release dates are going to get missed. So in the meantime, like, figure out a pipeline, production pipeline, where you have contingency plans in place, because if you don't, this is what happens.
Right.
You start having these uncomfortable conversations, and they got and hopefully they learn the lesson. I don't know if they will. I mean, look,
Well, I think it does come down to also what they have, and I think right now I do feel like Perfect Dark is probably has developmental issues and is a rocky road. Ever Wild, I think that they're finally getting the team transitioned from Sea of Thieves. I know as of like November, Sea of Thieves full team was still pretty much on Sea of Thieves, and obviously I heard the news that they contracted. So I do think that part of that thing. So you're talking about that's way 2025. They have a lot of games announced, and they're going to run into this again. It's just hopefully they have enough where they can space it. But this might come up again. But you can't listen. You cannot have what happened in 2022 ever again. 2022 hurt them really bad.
Yeah.
And
but,
it was
but
like,
Tim, I feel like we have this conversation with Xbox every year. This year hurt them, and then it's another year goes by. It's like,
it's a little different though. I mean, listen, if Activision deal goes through and they have all these they have a ton of games announced. I mean, they used to have 4 studios. When I was an Xbox fan and I was always pushing, I don't even know how I was doing it. They had 4 studios.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, 4 studios back in the day.
And now I think it's a far different ball game.
But
I think they have new issues and.
But what they did, Tim, when they had the 4 though, that's when they had the third-party deals.
Like, I know they were confident about the Activision deal closing, but you got to have some kind of contingency plan in place if that deal doesn't close.
I do think they do. Listen, I think Hellblade's around that too. I'll say this much: if the deal doesn't go through, there's a chance you'll see Hellblade 2 in the holiday. If the deal does go through, I do believe that they're going to put Hellblade into 2024 because they'll feel like they have had enough, especially if Stalker 2 hits. But if the Call of Duty deal, I'll put it this way: it was a question I had asked, and basically was that question: do you have a plan B? And I do believe that me deciphering it didn't say that right, but yeah, they do have a plan B.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if they have their druthers, they get this deal done, and then they could just catalog, basically clear the whole calendar in the holiday. And I know some Xbox fans won't like that, but they'll put Diablo, they'll stretch out the whole Call of Duty catalog, get all of them in there, and they'll deal with that and move on forward. Because just because of what you said, if you really go for the bang with Hellblade 2 this year, you're kind of leaving yourself light for 2024. So if you do have Hellblade Avowed in 2024, then you're sitting more pretty. But if you do take that out, there's that's something that you have to debate. But what I was saying, just the previous Xbox never had these type of problems. These are kind of better problems to have than just having no games. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Compared to having like 4 studios, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't disagree with you. Yeah, I don't. But again, my thing is, my frustration with them is like, like they seemed like I always equate, and I had this conversation with Lord Cognito a lot. Like I always kind of draw the parallel between the Washington Commanders and Xbox. I feel like they're one and the same. Where we we take 2 steps forward, take 2 steps back as a franchise. So that's kind of how I look at like Microsoft. But Tim, I guess my other question to you is like if you're saying the Activision doesn't go through and Hellblade 2 is going to come out, is Hellblade 2 going to come out and like complete, like complete,
done,
like
basically.
done, yeah.
That's a very good question. I think if, like I said, if they had their druthers, they get the deal and then don't have to worry about that. If they don't, and they're blank for the holidays, then yeah, I don't think Stalker 2 would be enough. I do think that they have to consider putting it in there, especially if it's ready. I'm hearing that it's gonna be. I'm hearing internally they're gunning for like 90 Metacritic. They want it to be like a top game, Ninja Theory. So, if that's the the thing, I don't know. I mean, I think it would be much better suited for March than the holiday because Hellblade.
I agree.
I just think it would be better.
If you've got
for
Starfield
Hellblade.
coming
I
out this
agree. There's a lot of
holiday,
big
and
hitters to release. Yeah.
if you got those other 2 big ones with Forza and Starfield, you don't need to put Hellblade 2 out there this holiday. You just don't need to do that. Whether Activision or no Activision, that's me.
Right.
That's me. I want to say shout out to Kratos99. Shout out to him, outstanding Mooch Maniac family member, and then also the great Rob Jones. He says never give a timeline. I learned that the best when I got out for a drink and tell the wife a time I'd be back. I never stick to it, so don't recommend it. He's saying basically,
never do that, Rob.
Never do that, Rob. That's great advice. I apologize.
Yeah.
I absolutely butchered your super chat, but I get your
Hugo
point. I
doesn't do that.
apologize. Hugo does not do that. Let me ask.
I'll be back at 5.
Let me ask Hunter. Hunter, there's a lot that Tim and BRAP just kind of went over there. There's a lot to digest. I mean, what do you think when you hear this? I mean, and I'll be honest with you. I think BRAP has some valid concerns. I think Tim also had some really good comebacks. What do you think when you hear this stuff, Hunter, when we're talking about, the way Xbox is moving forward? And remember, a lot of people, and I this is console war stuff. A lot of people are like, well, PlayStation only has one first-party game coming out this year. Whether we're talking about something first-party or we're talking about something exclusive, I think the word exclusive holds more than first-party. When you have 3-4 games coming out on your console, respected console, doesn't matter which one we're talking about, and whether they're owned by the platform or not, if they're exclusive on your platform and not the other for the year, that's all people care about when they say, which box am I going to go buy? So it doesn't really matter if it's first party, right? So that goes for like Stalker 2. Microsoft doesn't own that developing team, but Stalker 2 will be exclusive to Xbox. But when you talk about like Final Fantasy, or you talk about other games, or you talk about Forspoken, and you can make fun of these games all you want, but these are new AAA titles that will appear on only one console. So, next gen, what do you think about this, Hunter? What do you think about when you hear about it?
I think my take on it might be a little controversial, but it's just the way I've been
welcome to
thinking the last couple
CrossFire.
of years.
Go for it, Hunter.
Sorry, can you guys hear me?
No, I said go for it, Hunter.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, no, the thing is that David Jaffe says this all the time, and I absolutely agree. I truly think that Microsoft has a real big problem when it comes to quality control of their games, and especially the senior leadership at Microsoft and Xbox. They're hyping up games that end up falling flat on their face. Like today, Phil Spencer had an interview with IGN. He was talking all these great things about Halo Infinite, which, you know what, I reviewed Halo Infinite. The campaign was fantastic. Thought multiplayer was great. I thought the launch month was pretty good, but then it just kind of fell flat from there, right? They completely dropped the ball. Where my take may be a little bit controversial is like, you know what? I decided a couple years ago, I actually really don't even care so much about Xbox first party AAA games. I actually, the last few years, I have enjoyed the AA and the smaller titles from Microsoft more than I've enjoyed the big games. I thought Psychonauts 2 was definitely in my top 10 games of 2021. I thought that game was absolutely phenomenal. I just played Pentiment. I thought Pentiment is brilliant. I thought it was an amazing game. That game was in my top 10 for last year. And now I haven't played it yet, but I suspect, based on my taste, that Hi-Fi Rush is going to be a fantastic game. Everything about that game looks good.
Yeah.
It's exactly the kind of art style I like. I like Japanese developers. I like rhythm games. I like combat games. Like, it just seems like it's right up my alley. So I like when we're talking about stuff like Forza, doesn't really interest me all that much. Redfall, I think, definitely has potential, but it's not like, I'm not like super excited. I actually love Bethesda game studios, and I think Fallout is just one of the greatest series of all time. But from what I've seen so far of Starfield, I'm just not all that hyped about it, to be quite frank. Like, it looks kind of clunky. I'm not really like that big into space and sci-fi and traveling. Like, I'd much rather have a post-apocalyptic world like in Fallout. But I like, to me, Xbox is fantastic. I play my Xbox every single week. Where I see value for Xbox is their AA games, their smaller games, plus they supplement the Xbox Game Pass service with all of these great games. Like, I'm just actually looking. I'm having a look right now at the lineup that they have coming up for the next couple of months. Right, we got Wolong. I love I think I've already played a bit of Wolong. I thought that game was great. I love Neo. Team Ninja is awesome. That's going to be a great game. Atomic Heart looks great. I love the Amnesia series. That game's coming to Game Pass. You know, we've got like, there's like, even we got Age of Empires. We got GoldenEye. Like, there's so many great games, and a lot of them are not even first party. So, and like, I played a Plague Tale last year. I thought a Plague Tale 2, it was fantastic. I played Scorn. I thought Scorn was like, it was good. I liked it. It was different. It kind of, the puzzles were a bit annoying, but overall it was a good, cool, interesting game. So for me, like, I don't need any of these big AAA games from Microsoft to get the value from my Xbox. Like, to me, if I go back to the Xbox Series generation, Xbox 360 generation, like, my top two franchises from that was Gears of War and Halo. I played that, like, because you remember back then, like, they revolutionized online gaming. Like, I played 2,000 hours of Gears 2, a couple thousand hours of Halo 2, Halo 3, and like, quite frankly, like, those types of games that they've been releasing the last few years, they don't land with me. Like, I played Gears 5. I thought it was great. I thought it was good. I beat the campaign. I thought the campaign was, it was pretty good. I played the multiplayer. It was all right. But the problem is like, there's no longevity. Like, Gears 5 was like a month worth of entertainment for me. Halo Infinite was a month worth of entertainment for me, right? So I'm not really all that excited about that. I don't actually think that the senior leadership at Microsoft have the ability to create a game like The Last of Us. Like, that there is a complete secret sauce that Sony has, and not many other, like, I guess Rockstar might be another developer that has that sort of secret sauce, but managing the creative process is the most difficult thing in gaming. It is beyond hard, and that's why there's only a few, like, really, really, really extremely top tier developers out there, right? So I think Microsoft needs to clean house on the upper echelon. I think the whole upper echelon of the Microsoft should just get out the door, bring in like Shuhei Yoshida, do exactly, like, I don't actually agree a lot with David Jaffe, but I totally agree with what he was saying. Like, get Shannon Studstill.
Get Shannon Studstill. He says that all the time.
That is it, man. If they want to create games like a God of War, like a Horizon, that's what they need to do. They need to clear shop and then do that, right? I think the most exciting thing to me about them acquiring Bethesda and them potentially acquiring Activision is because I actually think that Bethesda has the ability to create some top tier games.
Yes, they do.
And obviously Activision has the ability to create some top tier games.
Yes.
My hope is that, like, those two organizations take over Xbox. Like, bring over Todd Howard. Why isn't Todd Howard, like, if Todd Howard was running Xbox Game Studios, I would have probably a little bit more, probably quite a bit more faith in what they're doing. I think that he could probably create better titles.
Yeah.
And I know, like, and this is the other thing that I find like so weird too is like, I think we talked about it earlier in the podcast. Like when I think back to the 360 era of Xbox, I've like, I grew up being a Nintendo and Sega guy. Then I eventually, with PS1 and PS2, because it was so amazing, I became a PlayStation guy. But as soon as like the 360 era came out, there was a good probably 3 years or 4 years where I was primarily playing on my Xbox, right? It was only in the the very last couple of years of the PS3 era where I started playing more PS3 when Sony started releasing The Last of Us and Uncharted 2 and Uncharted 3 and all these like fantastic games. But that's the kind, like, those games that they released in the 360 era, those are the ones that like they push the needle, man.
Lost Odyssey, Blue Dragon. I mean, they dropped the bag.
Yeah,
at Taguchi-san's door. I mean, that's the guy behind Final Fantasy. Like, that was insane. Like, when that happened, I'm like, holy shoot! Like, you know, Mooch. Like,
well, you know,
it was huge.
It is
huge.
Yeah,
and like the exclusive deals too, like BioShock, right? Like BioShock and
Mass Effect.
Mass Effect, and getting the GTA, right?
That's what I was gonna say.
The GTA DLC, like that's the kind of stuff that really pushes the needle, right? So I think Starfield is definitely going to push the needle, but I don't think it's going to be like a bombshell. I think it'll like, you know, it'll push it up, but it's not like, I would say the majority of people that are super hyped about Starfield probably already have an Xbox and probably already have Game Pass. Like, right. I don't see there's like 10 million or 15 million people that are just like waiting.
I think it'll actually even do better on PC than it will on Xbox.
Oh, totally, with the mods and all that.
Yeah. But there might be some crossover though. I think there might be some people who are big Bethesda fans that only game on PlayStation that might pick up like this game's gonna be on the Series S. That might be a nice way for them to kind of get into the Xbox ecosystem. We know that 40% of the people that have bought the Series S are new to the Xbox ecosystem, so there might be some crossover there. But
totally.
but
like,
they are. You're good.
Well, just because you guys can call me crazy if you want, but I'm more hyped about Hellblade 2 than I am Starfield.
Me too.
Because I played Hellblade 1 and I thought that game was awesome. I thought it was a really innovative game, and from what I've seen,
Hellblade's gonna be fire.
I think Hellblade 2 is gonna be
I just think it looks more interesting and more polished, and that's what I'm saying. Like the I don't know if we would consider Hellblade AA. Back when it came out, I guess it was kind of AA, but now maybe it's moved up to AAA. But that's what I'm saying. Like all of these like smaller games are the ones that are the most interesting to me. But unfortunately,
it's a really good point.
Unfortunately, they don't push the needle, right? Like they interest gamers like me, but if you want to get like the mass market out there and really expand the brand, Hi-Fi Rush is not the type of game that's going to do it.
But I also think
that's what I've been saying.
It goes back to like when you market like this, the most powerful console in the marketplace, and then you show those games like not to take anything away from those smaller budget games, but it doesn't move the needle. That's what I'm saying. Like they need a little bit of both. I think they need to have that AAA experience. Like you go back to the story of Cliffy B and Gears of War. Like he actually went to Microsoft and said, "Hey, look, I want to make this game for the Xbox, but you need to increase the memory in the Xbox 360." And Microsoft did that. They did that so they could get this game running on the 360. Yeah, and look what that game did.
I would say wait until Hellblade 2 comes out. I think that's going to set a bar graphically.
I do too.
I hope so. I do too.
I do too. But I think the key thing here that Hunter said, and I've been saying this for weeks on the show, you guys can go back and listen to it. When and we all get lost in the Twitter world and in the podcasts and YouTube, because we all talk to each other, we know, and everybody hears hardcore. So when I say this, everybody in the chat goes off. They're like, Mooch, you don't know what you're talking about. But like when it comes down to it, like no one's gonna be like, I need to go get an Xbox Series X and I need to go get Game Pass because Hellblade's coming out. Like no one's saying that. That's a casual. They don't know what Hellblade is, and that's what Hunter's getting to.
Starfield, though.
They may. Tim, I appreciate what you just said.
Maybe.
I appreciate.
might,
Hold on,
maybe,
wait.
yeah,
I
hopefully
appreciate
they
that Tim said what I would say the same words he just said. It may, but like Hellblade, it's not. Avowed, what's that? Like people don't know. Like think about water cooler talk. I literally have people at work, right? They'll say, "Hey, I know you like the game. You've heard of God of War, right? It's a big game. Yeah, Spider-Man. It's a big game. Right? Yeah, right. No one's coming up to me and being like, "Hey, dude, hey, you like the game, right? What's this Hellblade? What's this Hellblade 2 all about?" Like no one's saying that. So that's why when everybody in our world of Twitter is like, "You don't know what you're talking about. It's the biggest game since sliced bread," and then you have 80 journalists, quote tweeting it and throwing it out there, and it's like that doesn't mean anything.
Twitter's a very small echo chamber.
I just think, and I've listened to everyone since. I don't think one success doesn't mean that there's other avenues for success. The way Xbox is setting it up, in my opinion, is they on the cloud infrastructure front, they're way above anybody. It doesn't even come close. If you experienced Xbox and you experienced the other consoles, like light and day. The cloud definitely it has been a good investment on them.
Yep.
And then like if they get Call of Duty, you're talking about like things. If they get Call of Duty on Game Pass day one, that's a needle change because people are going to just. I saw what a marketing deal did. If you have your game day one on Game Pass, that's a needle changer.
But Tim, they're talking about one of the things that's on the table right now is, and we don't know how this is going to end up.
I think it's such a big deal.
Yes, but right now it's on the table that it's possible Microsoft offered it that they would even let Call of Duty go day and date into PS Plus. So there goes that avenue.
Well, they would have to pay for that.
Well, they would have to pay that, but as far as the customer goes, you're not losing a Sony customer because they're just going to get PS Plus.
I don't know, but you're talking about that's like saying you could do that with GTA
right
6.
Could
yes. It's a $1 billion deal, so I don't think Sony's going to be investing $1 billion every 2 years to do that, to put it in their service.
Right, I don't think that's going to happen either.
It's huge for Xbox because they don't have, just like Hunter said, they don't really have a team like The Last of Us, the Naughty Dog. They are definitely a top elite developer that's like only like Rockstar. They're in Rockstar's league. They're just elite. Those don't come around. They're just, that's just
they don't grow on trees. Yeah, I agree with you.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Xbox Avenue to move the needle would be something like that. And people would say, well, you're buying your way into it. I mean, I just think if they get that on the cherry on the top, I think that's going to put them in a really strong position. But I do think that there's a very strong possibility that the deal doesn't go through, even despite what Phil said today. I don't know how you can say that when there's a lot of political lobbying and things behind the scenes that go on.
I agree with you there, Tim. I really do. And I mean, Tim, in Phil's defense, he's got to say that. I mean,
he's got to say that because he's talking to investors.
Yeah,
he's talking to Wall Street.
Yeah,
he can't come out today and talk to IGN and be like, and honestly, I don't really think this is going to happen. I mean, that wouldn't go over very well. So I don't blame him for that.
He could have answered it a little like he put a lot of people like, I don't know. I just feel like just the political environment. They kind of were at the wrong time,
Yeah.
If this happened 2 years ago, 3 years ago, it'd be different.
Yes.
I mean, different parties involved.
That's true, Tim.
I mean, Tim,
I agree.
It's hunting season for big tech right now. I mean, it's actually, but it's funny. Like I hear a lot of people say it's political, like in the U.S., but it's actually both sides, both parties have an axe to grind with big tech right now. And like you just saw the DOJ and 8 other states in the U.S. sue Google for their advertising quote unquote empire. And so like, there's some concern about big tech being able to kind of muscle the way, have access to data, have access to information and using that to leverage, things like, advertisement and, cloud platforms. And it just, to your point, Tim, like the timing kind of sucked for them. And on top of that, like some of the people like, in government, like remember, the DOJ winning their lawsuit against Microsoft being anti-competitive back in the late 90s.
Yeah.
And this is Microsoft's biggest deal ever. And it's interesting, like
$7 billion. It's
Yeah, and internally, I can tell you, like from I spoke to some people recently that were impacted by the layoffs of Microsoft. The optics of the layoffs aren't sitting well with people. Actually, I spoke to someone that's currently there at Microsoft, still gainfully employed, but talking to him and talking to other people that were laid off, the optics of this deal don't sit well with the internal employees. Like, wait a minute, like you're laying off 10,000 people, and I understand why they're doing it. I get it.
Right.
I understand why companies do this
Right.
stuff,
Yeah.
but
That's
but
yeah.
but the optics still don't sit well. Like it's like you guys are about to spend $69 billion on a video game
Right.
company, and then you're laying off 10,000 employees, and then you just invest like $1 billion in OpenAI. So like that,
Well,
why? So
yeah, I
those things-
agree. But I do think that Microsoft, at least them having the ability to accept unionization, could be something to quell that. I agree with you. Layoffs suck. Big corporations are going to big corporation,
Right.
especially the biggest. So, the way you can protect yourself is have a union and that type of stuff. And I do think that
But
that
Tim,
might
those
happen.
unions are only. I'm sorry, real quick. The unions that they're talking about are only for like I mean
But even to get a foot in the door is huge.
But
Because-
it is, but it really is for like entry level, employees. It's not for the people that are making, high 5-figure, 6-figure salaries.
Right.
People who are making that kind of money typically don't want unions, which is why, Activision got accused of union busting. Activision wanted the developers who were making those 6-figure salaries to
Yeah.
vote, with the
No
union.
one wants
and they would-
unions.
yeah.
trust me.
Yeah.
So
But I think they're in the court between a rock and a hard place, and that's why they're
Yeah.
allowing it, just because they really want it. But as far as the layoffs, yeah, that was tough. And I don't, you can't be a fan of that stuff, especially the optics and stuff like that. Yeah, one thing. Listen, I'm a union worker, so I've seen it. I was laid off myself, so my union saved my job. So the little guy always seems to get crushed. But I honestly, I do feel that for the people that got laid off, that they will find work easily. I think that the tech, just going to tech down a little, and then it'll just start right up. I think tech, in a way, is the way to go in the future.
No, it's a good point. Shout out to the great
Well,
Andy Hardy. Says
yeah,
Dead
that's a great
Space
point, Tim, yeah.
says Dead Space remake is how a remake should be done. Also, not on last gen, so it'll be interesting to see if it's a Series SX seller. It's funny you say that. I want to kind of get to another subject here, but I saw again, and it depends. Everyone's got their own, the way that their Twitter kind of falls out. It's all on who you follow and things like that. But I've been seeing like 1 million people holding up PS5, boxes, being like, I got my Dead Space. I got my Dead Space. Now I do know that Xbox predominantly does much better on digital sales. So Andy, I think we're gonna wait and see how that ends up when we get into February and how this thing actually did. But there's definitely a shot for both of them there. I saw more physical going towards PS5, but the digital sales, we have no idea what's going on behind the scenes. Red Hood, I want to go to Red here. Red, I want to get you involved in this because, as you know, we say this all the time. Nostalgia is a hell of a drug, and I really got to be honest with you. I got up this morning and I put on my 1997 glasses. I don't wear glasses, but nonetheless, I put them on anyway.
Yeah.
What was that bit? That's it's not Cap. I don't wear glasses. But
Seen you with glasses off the show. Stop it.
I've never worn glasses in my life.
Glasses on.
You must have a different Mooch that you're watching. I promise you, I don't wear glasses or contacts. I will vouch for that. I'll have to get bit a doctor's note. But Red Hood, I want to ask you quick. GoldenEye. I picked it up. I downloaded it on my Switch. I'm going to download it on my Xbox after the show. I got news for you. I don't want to play that game. That's not a lot of fun. It used to be fun. It's just not anymore. I mean, I went to go play it today. I mean, I'd rather play Qbert. Red, what do you think? No, the other Red. Red Hood.
Oh, sorry about that. I was muted. Okay.
It's
So
all right,
yeah,
buddy.
I was thinking when it came to GoldenEye, I don't know, man. Like, I don't think the game particularly aged well,
No.
and I think it was a missed opportunity, especially to have like multiplayer, and also to like put it on PC. So it's like with multiplayer. So it's like I don't know. I don't know what was happening with that. I know like Nintendo for like the emulation, they were able to have it online via their subscription, I believe. But it was big yikes. But overall, I wasn't looking forward to it, but I know some people were. So I saw like Gaz like posting it, like being hyped for it. But like I noticed like not a lot of people on the timeline really talking about GoldenEye.
Well, you know, it's funny. So I saw enough people talking about it. Bit, what about you, Bit? Did you jump into it?
Nah.
It's so great. Bit.
Just put it blunt, no.
No. So let me do this. Instead of doing that, let me just ask the panel. Tim, Hunter, Brap, is anybody playing GoldenEye?
No.
No.
No. Honestly, I think that the multiplayer is probably held back from Nintendo. I don't think that they would. I think probably Xbox.
Well, Xbox is the place to play it if you're going to play it, because the controls on the Switch are atrocious. If you want to play GoldenEye, go download it on Xbox.
Involved in this.
But wait, Tim, do you think it was just like part of the licensing agreement that Xbox wasn't able to get it, or the PR speak of the emulation was able to do it, therefore we're putting it in our subscription?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a very good question. I think they probably could have made it happen, to be honest. I just think that Nintendo probably wanted to have, something exclusive about it versus Xbox. Because, to be honest, if both have online, I don't think anybody's going to really want to play the Nintendo one. So
Right.
just my thinking. I'm sure Xbox asked, but it could have been technical issues and stuff like that. Maybe.
But wait a minute. But has anyone else tried? I downloaded it just because it was, while I was working on my PC, it was easy to have a handheld here next to me. So I downloaded it on my Switch. The controls are abysmal. Like you can't even play the damn thing.
I heard it's not a good port.
It's bad, Tim.
I heard it's bad on Xbox too. I heard it's not.
I heard the Xbox one. At least the controller has been updated to where it's
a lot of people
usable.
complain about the controller on the Switch, right?
The Switch is terrible.
Yeah.
It's not play. I don't know. If you can play it on the Switch, you deserve some sort of an award.
I'll play it. I gotta finish Hi-Fi. I want to play Hi-Fi when it go off.
They're probably buying that Pro controller.
So
Yeah,
Mooch,
good point.
I'm gonna throw this out there.
Go ahead.
With people, were angry about the Last of Us Again remake. Who asked for this?
Who asked for GoldenEye?
Yeah.
Like 4 people on Twitter.
I think it's a little
with
bit
a large audience.
Nostalgic fan. I remember at the time when it was supposed to come to 360 and they shelved it.
Yeah.
Like they actually announced it and I was like, people were ready to play it, and they're like, oh no, they blocked it. But in today's day and age, you can only have so much of polygon graphics like that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
A remake would have been preferable. Like,
yes,
a
right.
remake would have been huge. Like that would be huge.
But how does it play on mobile? Like, did anyone play because I'm assuming it's on. Is it on
cloud? I don't know.
Is it on cloud?
I have to check. I don't know. Gotta check my Game Pass app. I don't think so though. Yeah, it might be the Game Pass game.
It is Game Pass.
I mean, if it's on cloud, I could get it. Get. If it's a quick mobile game, I don't know. I just
Well, I just wanted to. I had to bring it.
I'm trying to figure out who.
I had to bring it up tonight.
Achievements. I mean, listen, I'll play it, but I'm not going to finish.
Does it have achievements, Tim?
I would think so. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
No Chivos?
No, he said it does.
I think it does. Why would
I think you're right.
Yeah. One of the Chivos is like you made it through playing the controller.
I bet you it's just
You customize your controller.
Yeah.
Exactly.
100 points. No, that's great stuff. So I want to get into Forspoken a bit here, and you guys go ahead and be as brutal as you want. I have played about, as I switch just topics here, I have played about 5 to 6 hours. I plan to play a good, like Tim was saying, Hi-Fi this weekend. He's going to try and play and finish up. I'm not going to be able to finish on Forspoken. It's quite a lengthy game, but I'm going to try my damnedest. I'll be playing that, and I will dabble with Hi-Fi so we can have some conversations about it. But I'm ready to take the brunt of questions here. I'll give my. Is anyone else playing it on the panel besides me? Am I the only one playing Forspoken on the panel?
Hunter played it.
I put in like 55 hours so far.
Okay,
nice.
so Hunter, can I ask you, please, as the guest, would you please give your formal or informal review, and then please guys, whether it's good or bad in the chat, ask Hunter, ask myself. Hunter, playing 50 hours, knows much more about it than I do, but go ahead, Hunter, and then I'll comment after.
So I actually played the game at Tokyo Game Show last year, and then I played the PS5 demo. And the biggest concern that I had going into the game is I thought the open world was pretty barren. Like, I thought you would just run around. There was no activities to do. There was nothing fun. Like, there was the land was kind of bland. There was like hardly any enemies. I just thought it was like a really empty open world, and I was really I thought going into the game that maybe it's going to be like, you know, a 6 out of 10. Like, it's just going to be like an average game, like nothing special. And also, like, I have to say, I always thought from the beginning that the dialogue was certainly a bit cringe. I didn't think it was like as cringe, I think, as other folks, but it like I didn't think it was the greatest, and I think they could have improved it. And so I kind of went in with really low expectations playing this game, and I have to say, I originally thought for like maybe the game is 12 chapters. It's about like an hour or so per chapter, so it's about 12 hours to beat the game, and then there's like 40 or 50 hours of side content that you can do. I thought for probably like the first maybe like 3 or 4 chapters, almost like I had the same impression that I had going into it. It was kind of cringe. Like the writing was not the best. But then I had an epiphany like halfway through the game, and I thought to myself, okay, if I was a regular New Yorker that was down on my life and suddenly I got transported into this magical world, would I flip out like Frey is flipping out? Like, because, you know, like people were like clipping, you know, little snippets of her being like, oh, like I made magic with my mind. Like, I did that with my mind.
Right. The Walt Disney meme.
Yeah, for sure. But you know what? Like, at some point, I actually thought to myself, if I was Frey, if I was in this world and suddenly I could throw my hands out and lightning would come from my hands, I'd probably flip out too. Like, I would probably be annoying as hell. I'd be like,
holy yes.
Yeah, I would be so annoying. So it didn't make the dialogue amazing, but I actually started to understand who Frey was. Like, it took me like 5 hours or so when I'm like, you know what? I get you. Like, I get you. I understand why you're freaking out. And then like, and people were also complaining about how she's cursing all the time, and there's like, she's in this like high fantasy world, and all she's saying is like F this, F that. Like, would I do the same?
She's from New York.
Dude, I probably like, if I had some like magical matriarch giving me those like blah blah blah, like this like high level babble stuff that I have no interest in, like I'd probably be like, you know, what the F are you talking about? Like, who the F are you? Like, what the F is going on? Like, I'd probably be like that. So the thing is, like, I ultimately
we do that with sports.
Well, yeah, exactly. But basically, the bottom line is the dialogue is nowhere near as bad as what people are saying. It's not the greatest. There's for sure way better.
Yes.
Like The Last of Us, and God of War, like that's on like a whole nother level compared to this game. So dialogue, yeah, okay, sure, that's pretty average. The open world, I like I said, I went into it thinking this open world is dead. I was beyond shocked as soon as you get out of Sepal, like the main town, the map opens up and there's like literally like 500 markers all within, you know, a 10-minute run, and then like the map, it keeps on expanding as you go to different regions. There was hundreds of things to do in this game. It is a very, very, very dense, very, very packed open world, and the thing is, like, I ultimately ended up enjoying the game.
Yeah.
I gave it a good review. People, of course, you know, trashed the hell out of me on Twitter because I reviewed, you know, the day before it launched, and then as soon as the game actually launched and people started playing the game, some people are now like, oh yeah, you know what? Maybe it's not as high as how you reviewed it, but it's, you know, it's pretty damn good. But what makes this game so fun is not really the story. The story is kind of forgettable. The side quests are like really bad. They're just monotonous, boring stuff. But the traversal is fun.
Yes.
The combat is so, like, once you actually start unlocking all like 100 spells, and you start upgrading all the spells, and you start figuring out how you can actually switch between the four different elemental spell sets that you have. Like once you start getting into that rhythm, it gets really fun. And the thing is too, and like this is the thing that irks me so much about the review process, and because I know for a fact, I talked to a few people that were reviewing it, you know, and you know, before launch, like what I was doing, and most people had just beat the story and then reviewed it. Okay, I actually I was lucky because I got it a bit earlier, I think, than some, and I put in literally 50 hours into the game before the game launched, and like the majority of the fun that I had with the game was like fully exploring the map. There's some cool ass shit. Like you'll go off into the middle of nowhere and you'll find this like secret boss. There's 4 major secret bosses, but there's even more like smaller type bosses there in the game. Like these boss battles are great. The magic is great. Everything is just fantastic.
Yes.
I found like this like cool like little shop in the middle of nowhere. I don't want to spoiler anything, but like you could buy like weird stuff that just makes the game a little bit cooler, and it's out in the middle of nowhere, which no reviewer I think probably saw or even talked about. So the thing is, like, you have to just really take, like, you have to play more than just the story and check out the world. I think anyone that goes into, like, there's a whole bunch of challenge dungeons, and there's like there's like flashback challenges. Some of them are like combat based, some of them are running based. What was actually one of the coolest parts of this game, and one reason why I loved it, I think probably most reviewers just didn't even bother to do it. There's monuments in this game. There's like 54 monuments that you get, right? After you get 50, you get a trophy. But these monuments they're like traversal acrobatic challenges. And trust me, like once you unlock all the 4 magic sets and you get all your traversal mechanics, because every magic set will give you something new. Like it'll make you jump higher, or you can run faster, or you can create like sort of like phantom steps as you're jumping. It's really awesome. But like a lot of these monuments like really are interesting and really fun. Right, I had to spend maybe some of them 5 minutes like thinking through like how do I got to swing from this and swing off that and bounce off that wall and kickflip off that wall, and then you finally like way up in like in the clouds, above the clouds sometimes is where the monument is, and it's just cool stuff, man. So as I said, like people on my timeline are now saying the game is good. I'm not seeing a lot of people saying it sucks. I'm seeing most people saying like, oh yeah, actually it's not bad, and I'm seeing a bunch of people saying like, oh actually it's pretty good. So yeah, like I think overall it's pretty good.
Yeah.
And I think
I got a quick shift for Hunter. But so like the dialogue's like kind of big a big talking point with this game. Like but like I played Final Fantasy 15 and the dialogue with Noctis and his whole crew was kind of cringe too.
It was
like,
awful.
Is that kind of along the same like lines of the dialogue with this game?
I think the dialogue, BRAP, I think the dialogue in this game, it's the clips you saw that I saw as well were corny, okay, that were out there on Twitter. That I'll agree with. I agree.
Yeah, but the dialogue like Final Fantasy 15, like
but
Final
I
Fantasy 15
am telling you right
too,
now,
like,
I'm telling you right now, if you play the
the whole
game,
cup of noodles dialogue,
it's not
like really like
it's not as cringe when you're when you're playing though. It's not as cringe. I'm telling you right now, it's actually kind of, there's a couple of LOL moments, there's a couple of laugh out loud moments, there's a couple of things like that. It's not as bad, and the fact that he kind of sounds like Jarvis. The worst thing, and I said this on BRAP on Wednesday. The worst thing that happened.
Even Final Fantasy remake, like if you played that,
like, those also have corny, corny dialogue.
Kind of like it's corny.
You know, wait. I wanted to say something.
Go ahead,
It's not as bad as comparing to Forspoken. Like, do you have some humor moments in FF7 Remake? Absolutely. But is it comparable to Forspoken? No, it's not. I played Remake just recently, and I wouldn't say
so it's worse than Forspoken, you're saying, man?
Yes.
Okay. That's why I'm asking. Like, I just feel like...
Like also 15, like, they got 2 different writers. Like,
yes.
The writers in 15, like, that went through development hell. Like, a lot of people don't realize 15 went through development hell. It was Nomura's original project, which was Versus 13, and then Tabata took it over and made kind of, I'll be honest, a bastardized version of Versus 13, which and then Kingdom Hearts 3, he created his own Versus 13 and going into Kingdom Hearts 4. But the writers were Japanese in 15, and then in Forspoken, which a lot of people brought up, Amy Hennig was a part of it. Gary Whitta, and all these other writers, which a lot of people are complaining that these writers are supposed to be like really good, and this is kind of like what.
So
they
if
came
you
up
want,
with,
but
so-
again, if you want to go ahead and criticize the
Interesting.
conversation between the main protagonist and the cuff, that's fine if you don't find that funny, that banter. But as far as the story, that's the one thing I don't know if Hunter actually nailed. I would go a step further. I think the story is actually quite good. I think if you, and I'm not talking about the banter, I'm talking about the story. What she does when she gets pulled out of New York and she goes into this other dimension, and then what's going on there, and the Tantus, and the things that happen with these like 3 or 4 powerful, like whatever you want to call them. They're women that are very powerful, like wizards or whatever they are, witches.
And matriarchs.
Matriarchs, yes. And like there's all of that. And then as you get more and more scripture, there's more things to read about it's pretty in depth. So when you have the Gary Whittas of the world and these guys involved, that's what they're writing to. They weren't just writing like one-liner, open mic nights. You know what I mean? There's a lot more to it.
Yeah.
I had people telling me in the chat earlier today that, Mooch, you can't say that about Hi-Fi. You got to play it. Now I get those same people saying, I'm not going to play Forspoken. That game just is cringe. I'm telling you right now, it's not cringe in those 3 or 4 clips.
Yeah, it's a bunch of like I don't know, hypocrites, because like I won't lie, there were like people like shaming Xbox for low Metacritic scores, and then when there's a low Metacritic score for PlayStation, I won't lie, it does feel overly defensive on both sides when it tends to happen.
Console warriors, absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah.
Which is a bit
well, the other thing too
see.
is this guy, and Mike, I know you're here every week, and I appreciate you being here. I really do. But Mike, I know that you pay attention to what's going on. But I was trying to say to him, you want to talk about cringe writing that gets annoying as shit. Pardon my French. That I played High on Life for. I think I got to the 4th or 5th boss, so I played enough of it. That gun, you just want to be like, shut the F up after a while. And I like Rick and Morty, but for God's sake, shut up. Like, that's why there's Pickle Rick. That's why Rick is the other half of it, and it's just not Morty and Morty.
Yeah.
And, it's like, I've had enough of that. And then he says, well, you got to look at the user ratings, dude. He goes, High on Life got an 8.0 on Metacritic, and it's 3.5 for... This is all over the news today, okay? And Hunter, you actually reported it as well. Forspoken was user bombed. They were bombed on Metacritic. There's like a crew of people went in and gave 7,000 zeros to the score. So there's your 3.5, Mike. Mike, you know this stuff too, because I know you're here every week. So when you say these things, I want to actually have a conversation with you, but you're so far off. It's like, you know what I mean? It's just, it's tough to have a conversation with you. But the point go ahead.
I was going to say, Mooch, like the reason why the Steam score is also low, because like personally, I'm not interested in the game, so I'll let that be known. I think I said this multiple times on the podcast. I didn't like 15. I don't like Luminous Studios. And I think the best game coming out for Square currently is Final Fantasy 16. So I wanted to say that. But when it comes to the Steam user reviews, it's honestly, the performance is abysmal. Like really, really bad. So that's why it has like the really low scores. It has. It could also be from gameplay writing, but I'm really like most of the time it's usually.
I'm
from
not.
performance.
So the one thing I said I wouldn't do too, and I mean, Hunter, I think you've also said this in your review. I've seen what you've been saying on Twitter. I have not told anyone to go buy the game. If you're not interested in the game, don't play
That's not true, Mooch. You told me to buy the game.
I did not tell you to play the game. I
said you going to buy the game.
But my point is
buy me the game.
Yeah, play Blake's Tale. I honestly, guys, I will say this much: it's not perfect. It's not a 9. I gotta be honest with you. I don't even see me putting an 8 in the front of it. But I will tell you this much: the things I don't like about it is I'm not a huge fan of. I love the powers that you get, the magical and the weaponry that you kind of get, which is it's more powers. It's powers and powers. But hear me out real quick. I don't like how they kind of have the protagonist distribute the powers. Hunter, especially early on, if you can kind of maybe fill. I've only got 5 hours into it. You have 50. But you know what I mean? You have to pull RT 1,000 times, and you're like firing like rocks out of your hand, right? Or some kind of like, bullets of some, they're not bullets, but some sort of force like that. And it's like, until you get further into the game, some of that stuff is quite annoying. I will also say that I haven't seen a ton of enemy, the differentials in enemy characters and artwork there. The world is beautiful. I love the music. The exploration and the traversing, like Hunter said, is, I think, spot on. I think the lore and the story again, not the dialogue between the Cuff and Frey, but the other people that you run into in the lore and the stuff that's going on in the story, the reason you're there, the reason you're fighting. Okay, there's a force in this new world that you go to. That force wipes out all humankind except Frey. Frey has this one power, and I'm not far enough to know what the power is she has. Or
Spoilers.
no, I don't know. It's the beginning. I don't know. I'm saying you don't know, but it's a very intriguing. If you said you want to get into something, and shout out to Worry. Worry was supposed to be on tonight. He said he couldn't make it, but Worry did a great review.
Video.
He did a great review. And
here's the thing, though, like it's cool that I'm glad everybody's at least giving it a chance. That's good, but I'm wondering, and I thought the Reddit about going to be the new president, actually give games a chance instead of really going to the score.
Well,
I mean, like, listen, get a buck. If this game was on Team Green, a lot of people that have been seeing captain for the game would not have been captain for this game.
I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true. And I can tell you right now, there's people on this panel, honestly, like you've got Hunter on the channel right now. And Hunter said he's flipping through Game Pass daily. And he's checking out games all the time.
No, I'm not saying any of you guys are.
No, I mean,
but I'm saying,
well, I mean, if you're talking about the public, sure, but I mean, you can't speak in absolutes, but sure, if you want to, yeah, I guess you could say that, but that goes for either direction, right?
It's not even absolute. It's basically what we've been seeing this whole gen for the most part. Everybody's quick to run the Twitter. Everybody's quick to run everything as it is.
Oh yeah, sure.
The game was on one side or the other, and let's say the scores were like it is now. Immediately, oh, the game is bad. The game is trash.
Right.
A lot of you don't want to give games a try.
A shot. Right. Yeah.
Well, also, like a lot of people don't realize, like I think the $70 price tag is, especially when reviews come out like that, is where like you're pouring gasoline into fire.
Yes.
So it's like 68 was an easier pill to swallow, whereas 70 now, like $10 difference could be different for other people, right?
I disagree with that, by the way, because $60 was very
okay. I know that, but I'm saying I'm saying for
that was very controversial.
I'm saying for that, but I'm trying to like say it's easier for some people to buy $60 games, or sometimes when the price goes up, some people aren't able to swallow that.
That was the same when games went from 50 to 60.
That's just how it rolls. Everybody looks.
But I mean, but Bit, to your point, and I think you're right, by the way. Now that you sit down, you kind of digest it. I see what you're saying, but the point I want to make is I've got, half the audience in the chat right now telling me how great High on Life is.
Yeah, okay. But here's the thing, and difference between High on Life versus...
If High on Life was any more one-dimensional, if that game was any more one-dimensional, okay.
It's a good game. Come on, Mooch.
High on Life?
Yeah.
No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. That's a terrible game.
I don't remember High on Life having any issues in optimization.
Listen.
Well, no kidding. It's got the complexity of, like, again, Qbert.
Come on. Look at the user score. I mean, Forspoken speaks for itself.
Tim, you've got Forspoken has RPG elements, okay, a vast world.
Come on, bro.
And
it was listen,
High on Life. Are we comparing High on Life? High on Life was made in a basement.
But listen, High on Life is doing better than Forspoken.
How?
Look,
what's the measurement? What's the measurement? What's the measurement?
That's a game you
High on Life
as like a AAA.
High on Life is not. High on Life's not gonna.
Come on,
High on Life's not
put
gonna.
the Xbox hat on, Mooch.
Xbox.
Come on, bro.
Wait a minute.
High
on Life, guys. High on Life. Well, no, Tim, I hear you, Tim. But Tim, High on Life. Right, exactly. That's my point. They're two different types of games. I got people comparing. That's not me saying that. I'm telling you, that's what the audience is saying. They're saying High on Life is better than that. It's two different games.
Hey, Mooch, to your point, though, you speaking to absolutes like the game is bad for everybody. It's not bad for everybody.
Yeah,
I'm saying, no. I'm saying it's not good for me.
And that's the point I'm trying to get across to you. Like, listen, yeah, it's a PlayStation marketed game. It's not even made by their studio. You know this, but again, the amount of let's just say the amount of passes I see here for optimization, terrible frame rates, all this stuff. Listen, I'm gonna give it a buck. And everybody in this chat can definitely agree with me in unison. On Team Green, and it said
Oh my
exclusive
God.
Team Green. Tim Dog wouldn't
Tim would
Honestly,
Tim would
I
have 1,000 out of
I have walked
1,000.
away.
Yeah.
Like most
Tim
of
Dog will live on Twitter at that point because there's no way Tim
Well,
Dog's
yeah,
gonna
but
get traded. He'll be on Twitter.
But I'm not going to disagree with you on that. But what I'm saying is, but we could have that conversation. Like, so any game that comes out will be like, if this was on the other side, it would be. I mean, we could say that every week, though. I'm not.
You would be all over that.
What I'm saying is, I don't like when people like pick and choose their little battles here. I would like.
But here's my point.
If you're against,
here's my point.
If you're against bad performance, bad optimization, that you shouldn't cap for any particular platform or any.
That's true. That is true. But
that to not be the standard.
But the thing is, everyone takes a word and then they run with it and they don't listen to what the person was saying. What I'm saying again is High on Life. High on Life. I didn't say it had bad optimization.
Why are we bringing up High? Why was High on Life even brought up?
Half of the right here, Mike. Are you looking at the chat, Tim?
Looking at the chat.
No,
The chat.
Yeah,
Bring it.
okay, yeah, Mike basically did a comparison between.
Yeah, Mike
Forspoken
Yeah,
and
I mean,
Maniac.
I'm just.
Hey, Tim, he's like comparing the Jets to the Giants. That's
Yeah,
what he just
exactly. It's just insane. My point being is that's
said.
what
And he dies for Zach Wilson.
I'm sitting here and I'm like, what are we talking about? I'm just trying to say is this: forget the team green and the team blue. It's like you say, it's good game, bad game. And I even, well, I already said to you guys 100 times, I would probably give this thing right now, if I had to grade it right now, it'd probably be low 7s, high 6s. I said I wouldn't even put an 8 in the front.
You
right?
did say that, Mooch.
I did just say that. That's what I'm trying to say. So it's like when everyone's like, well, you know, if this was Team Green, I'm not talking about team. I'm talking about me. I'm talking about the game.
I can't believe you didn't like High on Life. It's pretty fun. I mean,
Tim, I got halfway through the game. I got to be honest with you. It's just push RT and then you swing from flying like sea urchins. I mean, it's not deep. Right, and then the voice of the gun
get you didn't make you laugh.
Well, the begin. So yeah, no, I will say this much: the beginning, right? It was very Rick and Morty ish, but then we went from Rick and Morty to Morty and Morty, and it was just like. Why don't we get
I will give that game
this
is
one
at
with
the
the gun
end.
over it? And it was just screaming. It's
was like, oh look, I'm gonna turn Saba into a gun. There you go.
It's just screaming into the TV. The gun is just screaming the whole time. Half the time, the banter with the little yellow dudes that are around, right? And he's just yelling at them, and they're yelling back at him, and they're just every other word is curse. They're saying that Frey curses a lot. I mean, you can't even get like. The first like 8 words are just the F word, the S word, the A word. You can't even say anything on YouTube anymore. But I mean, you know what I'm saying? You can't like that. It's just my point is this: if you enjoyed High on Life, listen, I'm glad. I'm really glad. But if we're gonna sit here and give this thing the Nobel Peace Prize, let's take a step back. Everybody, take a step back. Have a drink. Relax.
Well, I don't think anybody is giving it.
It's not that good.
High on Life is a game that a lot of people enjoyed. It had a lot of people that were happy. They took it for what it was. Again, it's a AA game. It wasn't even hyped. Nobody even thought about it. Came out of nowhere. Forspoken was a different thing. It came out with Project Athea. It looked like freaking the best game I've ever seen in my life. And when it really came down to it, it wasn't. When it really showed, it wasn't close to what it showed on the trailer. Granted, all video games do that, but there are levels of from certain levels. Like, what was the game made by Ubisoft? I forgot, but it was like the downgrade was just immense.
Oh, the Division?
Division, Watch Dogs.
Watch Dogs.
Yeah,
Watch Dogs, yeah.
So I mean, it did two different tales. I think for listen, I'll say this about Forspoken. I joke around a lot about it. I don't think it looks pretty cool. Looks like it definitely needs a little more optimization. I don't have any problem with the dialogue. I think people, when it comes to video games, I personally, I don't really have to listen. I appreciate when it's done right, like Yakuza.
Mm-hmm.
I actually played it I finished it in English and I started playing it in Japanese. That's how good the voice acting was. But in this case, I think it was a little overblown. Yeah, she came off, but I think that was taken. I didn't have a problem with that. My only problem was that it was super hyped, and then people were saying, "Oh, we don't even this isn't even our game," But it was super hyped, even to the point where Paul Tassi put it in his article as one of the PS5 heavies. So, I'm just I was just that was the only reason why I kept it on that angle.
I
But I
think-
do think that listen, it matters at the end. Let's like we all say, if you're enjoying the game, that's all that matters. You don't have to tell anybody.
Well, that's exactly it. That's exactly it, and that's my point. We sit here throughout these podcasts, and we've even done it tonight, and again, nobody's wrong, but we're sitting there saying Redfall, we're sitting there saying Hi-Fi, we're sitting here saying these games, and these. So Redfall's been touted as a very big game, right? So this game has been touted. Forspoken has been touted as a game. You say High on Life wasn't, but people were talking about High on Life all the way from back last June. I'm not saying it wasn't not budget, not the same budget, but people were talking about it. And people were like, I'm going to play that Rick and Morty game on Xbox. That's what people kept saying. Said it for a year, right? Said it for 6 months.
But it wasn't close to being hyped. Come on.
Well, I mean,
I wanted to
hyped as a double. It was a double.
I was going to say the big going force for High on Life was honestly, like, from what I heard, it's like TikTok and all that, and like social media buzz, like mostly TikTok, and really got people into downloading the game or playing the game on Xbox or PC.
Yeah,
unique,
Josh
Ayers,
Josh,
and it's a lot of that stuff. I think that had its appeal. Listen, I liked the game. I thought it was funny and I enjoyed it, but I could see why certain people wouldn't like it and stuff like that. You know, at the end of the day, it comes down to really if you like it or not. And all the other bullshit you can throw out the window.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with that, Tim. I really
Tim,
do.
it sounds like if you're from New York, you'll like this game then.
What, Forspoken?
Yeah, Forspoken.
No, I don't think that. I don't think that has anything to do
with it. If you're from New York, Manhattan,
New York
one of the 5 boroughs, you probably like this game, right?
Yeah, well, no, I did like that. I heard that after the fact, but
well, you know, the other thing too is
cool.
a lot of people, and I know a lot of people don't like to hear this too, but Sony had, right? They had God of War just come out. Then they have this game in January. Then they've got the marketing rights. It does not count as a Sony thing, but they have the Hogwarts Legacy. They have the mark, but then they have PSVR 2, right? Mm-hmm. Then they've got Final Fantasy 16. So when you have these games, and you had last year, whether you liked the games or you didn't, right? You had Horizon Forbidden West, you had Gran Turismo 7, you had God of War. So when you have a game come out like a Forspoken and it doesn't do well, people go, well, Mooch, if this was Xbox, you'd be saying quiet.
Well,
Xbox hasn't had a game. Hold on, let me finish my thought. Hold on, let me finish. Hold on, let me finish my thought. Let me finish.
Like that. Who's like
I wanted to say, like, so for PlayStation will probably be the main sales, because from looking at like Steam charts and all that, it's not doing so hot in terms of like daily players. Like I think it's like at 4,000 right now active players, 4,888.
What's this? Forspoken?
I did, yeah, Forspoken on Steam, so it's not doing so hot. I did want to bring this up, and a shout out to Jet Fan. He like, I kind of brought up that question to Big Cloud earlier on RGT for Luminous, who made Forspoken in 15, and he basically said Luminous could be on the chopping block by Square. They weren't happy with Final Fantasy 15 either, and I agree with his comment, because 15 they called the schism. They caused the schism within the fan base. Mm-hmm. A lot of hardcore fans didn't like 15, and some casual fans liked it.
They're
some
not
didn't.
great.
And
they're not great.
They basically took them out of the Final Fantasy pipeline and had them do their own IP, because they didn't want to cause any more damage to their brand of Final Fantasy.
What I think
now this happened.
And
what I think we say,
15 actually sold well for the most part.
It's Final Fantasy.
But in terms of fan reception.
What I'm trying to, guys, hold on, Brap, hold on, guys.
Reception, but
hold on,
day, like,
Brap. I never got a chance to finish my point. Okay.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to say here, because everyone, I get interrupted, and then they're like, "Well, Mooch just said this. I didn't finish."
No, well, Mooch, this is CrossFire.
I know you. I want to say. I'm going to give you, when you make your point, Mooch, I'm going to counter it.
Well, go ahead.
I know what you're going to say.
You know what I'm going to say, because it's right. But the point of the matter is that, you know, Sony has a plethora of games that come out religiously, and then they have a bunch of games that we don't even talk about that are of the hi-fi quality. Okay, in between.
What?
Of the hi-fi rush quality. So what I'm trying to say here, at the end of the day, is if you get a game that's a 68, a 72, a 75, okay, that's we would all sit here and agree that that's not good. It's not great. But when you go Xbox, and I've been saying this since 2020, anyone that's on the channel knows this, we've been waiting for ever
Give me
for
the
a
Halo
game.
Infinite's Metacritic.
That's like 87.
Okay, give me Forza Motorsport 5.
91. I don't know. Okay, great. Tim,
Yeah.
guess what? Give me anything else.
Listen,
We're all out. We're out. We're
we have
done.
a ton of games.
That's
listen,
it.
Which
You're
listen,
out.
Here's my point. I
You did
remember
too.
you.
It's been
on
3 years.
BGST.
Yeah, but
Listen,
Tim, this is 10
remember
years
you
ago.
on BGST. This is why I really can't take you seriously.
That's all right.
You
don't have
on
to.
really on BGST.
Yeah,
you
that was
told
10
me
years
that
ago.
Horizon was a horror
I
show.
said that last week. I said that last week
You
on the show. I said
you
Horizon
told
Zero
me
Dawn
that
is terrible.
Horizon
It's terrible.
was a joke.
Terrible.
You told
Terrible.
me that you would never.
I said it
use
last week. I say it
Sony
every
Online.
week. I say it every week.
Listen. I love you.
Horizon
but
Zero
you
Dawn is
definitely
terrible.
go a certain way, and you're set in your way, and you're that Team Blue or that Team Green. Right now, you're Team Blue. We cannot deny that because we are the
Wow.
same
Team
type
Blue.
of guys.
Yeah, but Tim, I still agree with that. I said it last week. I said it on BRAP's show. I said it a month ago.
I mean, you wouldn't
Horizon
even-
Zero
you
Dawn
wouldn't
was
even give
absolutely
Horizon a shot.
horrible. Horrible. It's horrible. I said it last week. I said it a month ago.
You said you hated The Last of Us.
No, I never said that.
Wow.
No, I never said that. I've got every The Last
You
of Us.
were not a huge Last.
I've got every
I
The
don't know if
Last
you
of
don't
Us
remember.
thing.
I knew you all those years. I knew it. You
Tim,
said.
Hey,
well,
Tim Dog, you got
Tim,
those receipts?
Yeah, you have to pull that. I would like to hear that
Oh,
one myself. I love
Let's
it.
go listen to a BGST in 2014.
No, Tim, come on. You're,
Hey,
now
wait,
you're just.
wait, can we
Tim,
get
stop.
Zaire?
Stop
And
it.
I love Mooch.
Hold on. Stop, guys.
Yeah,
Hold on.
Zaire?
BRAP,
I
stop.
love
BRAP.
Mooch. Just
BRAP.
go
Hold on.
listen
Let me
to
talk
it.
to
Go-
Tim. I'll
go
talk
pull
to
up
Tim.
BGST. Look it up.
You'll have to listen. Yeah, you got to listen to 4 years of it. But listen, my point being is this. Real quick, what I'm saying to you is, Tim, I will agree with you. Horizon Zero Dawn, I just said it. I said it even when Forbidden West came out. I said, I can't believe I actually like it. I couldn't stand Zero Dawn. Bad writing, terrible. See, the eye coordination thing, while you're talking to her, she's looking out into the sunset. I just said this. I say
You
this.
could do
you
that.
don't
With,
listen
you
to-
could do that with Xbox games too, and say the same thing. My point is that when you get in certain, just like Crowd
but
Gamer,
everyone does that.
When
You
Crowd
do it
Gamer
too.
was Team Blue, you couldn't say anything positive.
But you do
about
it too.
Xbox.
Wait.
You do it
Mooch,
too.
Did
But-
you say this though? Really?
Everybody,
Like, seriously,
Tim, what you're saying about me is the same about you, same
But
about
I've always
everybody.
been Xbox. I've
Well,
always been
okay,
around.
so that means you could be,
it's a lot
so
different.
So you can be
Wait, I was-
biased.
I've been consistent from
You're
day
consistently
one.
biased. Okay, so you're
Mooch,
consistent. That's all right. That's cool.
Mooch,
I don't
I
have a
wanna-
problem with that.
I would welcome you back on Team Green too. You know that. I love Mooch.
I love you too, Tim. I really do.
Mooch,
No,
is-
Tim's
is
one of my.
Tim
Tim
exaggerating
is
here with the whole Last of
Tim's
Us
probably
thing?
the best person to ever talk games with, to be honest with you. But I mean, no, and Tim's got a
Is he
memory.
exaggerating?
He's got no. Tim's got the best. But is you kidding me?
No, I'm saying he said that you downplayed
And it
Last
goes,
of Us.
and it goes. And yeah,
Oh, no, buddy, I
listen,
love Last
he
of Us,
downplayed
dude.
everything on Sony. He hated the fucking.
I did not like. I
With the
didn't like.
passion. Listen,
Well,
it's
wait,
the
Mooch, you like the Last of Us then?
The same people that hated Mooch,
Yeah,
love him now
yeah.
just because he's on Team Blue.
Hey, Tim.
Jabari.
Hey, Tim.
Jabari. I remember Jabari.
He didn't hate
crying
me.
about Mooch.
No, get out of here. Stop
Oh
it.
my
No.
God.
Tim. Hey, Tim.
Nicola,
Hey, Tim.
I could go through all
Hey,
these
Tim.
people,
Real quick,
dude.
let me ask you a question, Tim.
We've known each other for 10
Tim, what
years, Mooch.
happens? What happens in sports when somebody changes shirts? They like the guy, right?
Right. Agreed.
Okay, so don't
we
worry
all
about it.
agree,
So
and
what you're
that's why I always
so
say-
Tim, what
that's
you're
why I
explaining,
say throw
what you're
Twitter out the
explaining, what
window.
you're explaining
and as
is
a person,
what you're-
I've always
but
loved
what-
Mooch.
no,
So
I know.
that don't change.
No,
So
no,
Mooch,
no, no.
Mooch,
I know how
wait.
you are when you get on a team and when you're
I just
backing a
feel
certain
right.
player.
But Tim, this is but Tim, that was a great way.
They-
That was a great
you could say They
derail.
won you over.
That was a great derail, by the way. But my point being is from 2020 till now, except for Halo. The minute I said Halo and Forza, I go, what else you got? You went to that.
Halo is great, by the way.
You
Brad,
can't
stop.
stop. If it was nothing, it was nothing. They had Psychonauts. Yeah, they've been.
But that's
light,
my
but
point.
obviously-
That's all. Let's get back to the games. Let's not talking about like 80 years ago. What I'm trying to say to you is this. What is it that Xbox has given all of us? You included, Tim. You don't live far from me. We have
I just gave you
hard-earned
two
money.
games that I loved.
Okay.
I mean,
I gave you two
they've
games.
been light on games. I haven't denied that, but
Right,
I'm
right,
also
right.
not going to deny that they have a ton of games coming.
Well, yeah, but
and,
we've been saying
you
that
know,
since
and
2018.
We'll see what happens with them.
I know. I agree with you. There's
So-
no one disagreeing with you there. But my point being is just that we've been waiting a long time. And you
Listen,
even said it yourself. You said
here's
the
the
12-month
thing,
thing
here's the
wasn't good,
thing.
right?
I don't think you'll ever give them a fair shake. no matter what. Now
That's not
just
true.
because you
That's not
never
true.
gave Sony a fair shake.
I'm
back
going to
in
give
the day.
Xbox the fair shake when Avowed comes out. I'll devote the channel to
Xbox
Avowed.
guy wasn't me, wasn't Crap Gamer. It was you, Mooch.
Oh, I don't think so. You're putting me
Yes,
ahead of
it
you guys.
was.
No
It
way,
was.
Tim.
I would give
You
Sony
are
credit.
Xbox.
I remember you would never, of course, but I would say adamant. You were like passionate to the point where people hated you. But I loved what it was because you brought that passion.
Well, you got it.
But it's just the way listen, the way we're wired. It's there's nothing wrong
Well,
with
that's
it
a New
either.
York thing.
And that's what I said exactly. And that's
When the hell does a New Yorker ever shut up? Yeah.
Jaffe, listen, a guy like Jaffe, total Sony fanboy. Everyone has a bias, in my opinion.
But see, Tim,
I don't care about that.
I agree with you
I
there.
respect it.
I agree with you there, but don't you think Jaffe, and I don't speak for Jaffe, but he did a really good job of promoting Game Pass. He thought he was a big fan of
Hey,
Game Pass.
Mooch. Hey, Tim Dog's not wrong, man. Like, we blocked each other because of VR.
VR. Right. But that's what I said. That wasn't a platform thing. I thought VR was
hated
niche.
VR. That's why when I
niche.
heard the
Tim Dog,
PS, you're bringing up PS.
He hated VR. He hated it.
Yeah, I did.
I know.
Well, yeah, but that's the thing.
We had 7 shows in a row on BGS.
You guys
making
talk
fun of VR.
You guys talk in these small clips. There's a 10-year duration
Come
here.
on.
When I did, I said this. Yeah, but see,
we
guys,
had 7 shows.
Tim, in all fairness,
we bashed
Tim,
VR
Tim,
every day. And
in all
laughed our
fair, yeah, but
asses
Tim,
off it.
we
and now
did.
you're hyping it as a
Tim,
2023 lineup.
Yeah, but Tim, you don't understand. You've also haven't listened to CrossFire for 6 years. We did spend
that's
4
true.
years
I've been on
together.
the show. I listened to you.
That's twice a year you listen to me. But hear me out real quick. Okay, what I'm trying to say is, yes, you did do the first 4 years, but you weren't here the last 6.
But
so what I'm saying to you is,
the show.
and
you
the
don't
last
think
6,
that people say,
they were Xbox
what the hell's
too.
going on with Mooch? He's now a total pony.
Oh yeah, well he's a total pony.
You know,
Everyone's going to say
happens.
that. They're going to say that. It is what it is.
And you know what I say? Mooch is a great guy.
Well, that's what I say about you.
He's just exactly
because people go, "What's wrong with Tim? Tim's
person.
crazy. Tim's just tweeting things out for Xbox. He doesn't even play that game." I go, "Tim's a good guy."
Exactly.
And people say the same stuff about both of us, Tim. It doesn't matter. We can't keep
like
using
each other on a personal level.
Right. We can't keep using tweets in 10 years ago.
I tell that to everyone.
Yeah, exactly.
And everyone has a bias. I don't care.
Absolutely.
Everyone has a bias.
Everybody. Everyone likes one cousin more than the other. Everyone likes one sibling more than the other. Everyone likes one more of this, one flavor of ice cream more than the other. That's not an unnatural thing. But one thing I will say is when it goes to especially like VR, so you guys talk about VR and then you jump to another subject. VR back in the day were experiences in air quotes. You could be Batman for 8 minutes.
There's no experiences.
Well,
there's just more of them.
BRAP, let me talk.
Maybe a little bit better looking.
No,
Yeah,
now there's full-fledged games on VR. Before they were just experiences.
I mean,
how can you say
Come
no
on,
when there are?
Let's go on the Robo game and just look around and do nothing.
Which is the Robo game.
That's what VR is, and that's if somebody loves that stuff, it's all to them. But and the reason why we did bring it up, I was just bringing up situations where you've went the other way, and you've criticized Xbox, and now you're criticizing Xbox, Mooch. But when there was a criticizing Sony, Mooch, there was no other guy I would say would get under the Sony fanboy.
Because I made a good point.
Remember Mr. Megadeth?
Yeah, Tim,
that guy was obsessed with you.
Yeah, that's
he wanted to debate you. He used to cry to me. But I'm just saying, those are the people. That's just the way it always was.
No, I hear. Listen, you got to move on from the past to move into the future. We got to look forward. We don't look backward.
I think you're a lot more calmed down.
Tim's not wrong.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would say
we all do. It's called getting older. It's called getting older.
It's
called
absolutely. You've come down too, by the way.
I was gonna say, Tim Dog.
That's what I'm saying.
Everybody
has.
Like way back in my college days, you were way different than this version of Tim Dog.
That's what I'm saying. It's like you know what I mean.
And anybody who ever gets to really know me too in real life knows it's like, listen, Hunter, you might have each other blocked on Twitter, but I know if I saw you in person, I would be a gentleman to you. I don't hate people. I don't never take it to that level. I just believe it's just like fandom.
No, but Tim, Tim, I said this when we started the show. I've known you for 10 years now at this point, and even our interactions with Major Yeno, it's like like that's not you today. Like you,
No,
we've all
no.
changed.
That's my
We've
point.
all changed.
Everybody's changed.
I was off the hook.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember we used to call him an idiot. Like we used to like
Oh, God, I
flame
was
him really
bad.
bad.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But guys, you guys are all giving good examples. By the way, shout out to the chat.
Well, Phil had me blocked. Do you know that story?
Who?
Yeah, I
He
remember
said-
that. I remember that. Yeah.
He told that
Oh,
story. We
don't worry
went
about
to we had a get together, influencers and stuff. He told that story at the table. He had me blocked because whenever I
remember
would
that.
say it, I would put a bad language, and he was like, "I like Timmy, but I cannot have my like daughter come around and see like MFer all over. Like I used to be that crazy." So yeah, we have all changed.
Well, that's
And we've
and
all
that,
calmed
and that's so.
down.
I will say one thing. Let me give credit to everybody on the panel here, including myself, Tim, and BRAP, because we're the ones talking the most on this thing. And shout out to Red too for chiming in.
Mooch, you
But-
and I didn't talk for years, man.
Well, yeah, but, BRAP, we've said this 80 times on
Yeah,
the show.
I know.
My point is this, but what I want to say is that's the evolution. If Tim said, "Geez, Mooch, you got worse," that's a problem.
No,
The point
you
of the matter
got-
is you're supposed to
listen,
get better.
I thought you were
Not
unfairly
worse.
targeted. In my opinion, you were unfairly targeted when the whole shit went down.
Yeah, Tim, I don't want to talk
you-
about that. So
I know, but I'm just
yeah,
saying.
yeah, Mooch, that
I'm
was
not-
not cool, by the way. I agree.
I'm,
with you.
I'm not.
That was not good.
I'm just saying. I think that you've been unfairly
Well,
targeted
yeah, but-
a lot of times, and I'm not even talking about that. They were trying to make things that you were saying
Right, that's what I'm
that
saying. So-
weren't true because you were an Xbox fan, and that's
All
you
right.
know that was the truth.
Let's do this. So shout out to Jay and a couple of people in the Josh too as well, saying let's get back to the games.
Right.
Let's get back to gaming. I don't like I said that's all good stuff. I think it's great that everybody does what they do, but then you do have to get better. You have to be a better person. You got to put out a better show,
Well,
and I
yeah,
think it's
I agree.
important. It's
You
important.
can give Xbox a little love.
I will. You know what,
sometimes.
Tim? I will
You
give.
can give them
I will
both
make,
love.
I'm going to make you a promise. I'm going to make Tim
I
Dog a
love it.
promise
Tim's like,
today.
you get Xbox of
I'm gonna
love.
I
give
hate
Tim.
him. I loved when he's a big Xbox guy.
I'm
you
going to
know?
give Tim. I'm going to give
One
Tim.
day I love both of them.
I'm going to love both of them from today
Maybe
on.
then I'll love. Maybe
there
I'll
will-
love PlayStation
I
too.
well, I would
The
like
only
that. But you
reason
go.
I love
Yes.
Tim,
yes.
Tim, you love
Yes.
PlayStation. Don't lie.
I like the. I know that they're awesome. I just the
Tim,
people,
you saying-
fans that I interact with every
Tim.
day. I just like.
Tim, you're
sometimes
saying,
just, like, I
Tim,
can't
you're
do
saying
it.
you're gonna give Mooch the shield back, the Captain America.
Get this man a shield.
Yeah.
Shield.
I have
Get
dusted
this
that
man
off
a
right now.
shield.
Oh,
No,
You
I.
guys, nobody knows
Oh,
about
man.
this shit. It is,
Oh, I
my
missed the
God.
shield
Shield
actually.
the shield is coming.
The shield is coming back. No, I'm kidding. You guys are great.
great.
Listen, Tim and I are going to make, you guys heard it here. It's late breaking news. I'm going to be more Xbox. Tim is going to be more PlayStation.
Okay.
This is coming,
I'll
right?
try
Tim,
not
can we
to
do
fight
it?
with people, but
Can we do it?
you know, yes, but
Look,
you
actually,
can,
Tim, I just thought of
think
a
you
show.
Should have your own. I
Tim.
think you should be on IGN. I think you should be on these guys.
I'll
that they
settle for
have
a
these idiots
podcast with
on-
you, Tim.
on- what?
I'll do a podcast
No.
with you.
Oh yeah, I would do a podcast.
Why don't we do one?
back to loving Xbox?
How about that? No, we'll do a 50-50. We'll call it the 50-50, the half and half.
Yeah.
Come on.
Well, we
how
actually
about-
talked about doing
Well,
a
Tim,
baseball.
how
I
great
love
would that
it.
be?
Tim, how about call it Real Gamer Small Talk?
Oh,
I love it.
Like
Stop.
Sword and Shield.
Oh,
There
that's
you
too
go.
funny.
Sports talk, but
I would do a
You
I
know.
would do a podcast with Tim in a heartbeat.
we'll both calm down. How about that? But you have calmed down, and you're a complete gentleman, and you're a really good person.
Tim,
and,
nothing but love for you, buddy.
I
You
like
know
it.
that. That's why I can't. I want to
Yes.
get you on more. It's just you do like a million shows, and I know
I
if I
know.
ask you, you're gonna go, dude.
Tim,
Not
I
a-
like doing your show.
Not it. You're
Tim,
gonna be
are
like,
you-
not again.
Tim, real quick, a random question: are you a Rangers fan or Isles fan?
I do not like hockey, but I kind of,
That's a
like
good
in the
answer.
middle. But I hate hockey. I get
Okay,
I get front row seats to the Islander game, and I just
I was
You
gonna
really?
say if I had to pick, he'd be an Islanders
Tim,
fans
Tim,
though,
we gotta
because
hang out, man. Come
Tim's
on.
Tim's
I can get
Mets
to that.
Tim's Mets Jets. I would assume he would, even though he's not. I
No,
would
Mets
assume.
Giants.
Oh, you
know
are
I'm
Giants. That's right, not Jets. I'm
Are you
sorry.
Giants fan?
He is a Giants fan. Yeah,
Huge.
big
Oh,
Giants fan.
Huge
Big
Mets
Giants fan.
fan, like huge.
Yeah,
All right,
that's
all right.
Dude,
As
dude,
crazy
look
as
at
I
this.
am an Xbox. I am. That's what I would love to do with Mooch. We've talked about it. Sports.
That's what I
hey,
wanna
me-
do.
Me, you, and Mooch, we gotta go Giants game when they're playing the Commanders because that's my team.
Literally, my brother goes, you know,
Unfortunately.
you sound like the Mad Dog in what is it, Mike and the Mad Dog or whatever that show. Remember that, Tim? He's New York radio,
yeah,
I think.
Yeah.
He goes, that's what you sound like. He goes, you should do sports. I go, Tim wants to do a sports show. But the problem
You should
is,
do a sports show.
I got news for you. If we
Absolutely.
did a sports show,
It's hard.
even with
It's hard
seven-
though because
Tim's
then everyone's
70
like,
yeah, you take Tim's 70,000 people and you take what the little I have, you know, we get like 8 people and half of them would be our family. Nobody would
no,
come.
like,
Nobody
I've
likes
seen Wardy.
sports.
Do you know Wardy?
I don't think so.
You know, Wardy. Well, he's a guy. He started out, but he's getting big now. It's a lot of work to do it if you really want to do it.
It is a lot
But
of work.
I think we would be good. we would have to talk about video games.
Tim
though.
We
Dog, you know-
would,
you
we
know what
would.
we should do?
Where
We
we
should do
are.
Commanders game, Giants at MetLife, and do a YouTube Shorts video.
I will definitely. Yes, I'm doing
I'm
it.
serious, we should do
I
that.
will
YouTube
sign on
Shorts?
for that.
Me, you, Mooch,
And I
whoever
don't
else.
mean to get on Mooch, but you know I love you, Mooch.
No, nothing but love for you too,
I-
Tim.
I think you're
It's
awesome,
fine.
bro.
Listen, and I appreciate, and I honestly, I love the banter's great. I love the banter. I love Tim. You guys are great. No, honestly, because the audience.
Tim, you
I'm
got
glad
to
Tim says
razzle a
that.
little bit, man, like big time.
Well, because listen, you know what it is you work hard to kind of just do better, make a better show, have a good channel. You know what I mean? So it's like that's the
No,
thing.
great.
But
Of
you
course,
gotta.
he's not disputing that. He just-
Listen, as someone who watched you back then, come along.
That's all I'm looking for. A bit as you start with a.
You definitely have.
Come on,
You start with it. You
reach out
start.
back in the days
Listen, it's
and-
like
Right.
absolutely. You know when you got your kid and he's starting his semester and he gets a C. You hope to God he gets a B+ by the end of the year. It's all you hope for. You know.
Exactly.
You
So-
went from getting C- to getting B+.
If I could get a B+ right now, I'll take it. That's it. You know what I mean? So
Oh, you're definitely B+.
I would take a B+. I'd take a B. I mean, I'm just throwing out random numbers and symbols here. So real quick, let's get to a few things here. Tim, I'll start with you because I gotta get your opinion on it too. So here's your chance to go off. So Naughty Dog has said they're done with Uncharted. Are you
Okay.
done with Uncharted? And do you think Sony's going to give it to another team?
I wouldn't want anybody working on Uncharted other than they're that elite. I think anybody who else would come on wouldn't do as good a job. I think they're just putting it. I think that honestly, I think The Last of Us they'll do that and they'll go to the end of it until it maybe even starts to get like
Mhm.
a little much.
Yeah.
Or whenever it comes to that point, go right back to Uncharted. You're back to gold. That's like a Disney IP. It's I don't put it this way. I don't think it's gone. I just think they're saying we're moving on for now, but I think it's such a wonderful and great IP that really put them on the map that I think that they could go back to. It's not as deep and so deep and political as The Last of Us. And listen, The Last of Us, they nailed them both. But I think it's something about that IP. I don't think you can fully walk away and say. I think in time they will come back to it.
Yeah.
They're going nowhere. They're going to be here for years. You know what I mean?
I was gonna
they're
second
elite.
that for what Tim's saying, but I think PlayStation sees too much money, and they're probably gonna give it to another studio. And personally, I wouldn't be interested just because I'm kind of getting tired of like the Indiana Jones-esque like entertainment side of things because we're already hearing like freaking Tomb Raider getting a TV show, Indiana Jones movie coming out this year, Machine Games making Indiana Jones and another Tomb Raider game coming out. I'm just getting tired of it. That's just me.
Yeah. So I mean, Tim made a good point though. Do you guys think that having somebody besides Naughty Dog? What do you think? Do you think if Naughty Dog's not in charge of it, Uncharted will literally it would sink?
I mean, personally, I don't. The thing is, I can't vision anyone else aside from Naughty Dog making the main Uncharted game. Each one has that quality. You know what I mean? It's well written. It's one of those best games you think of. Like Part 4 was the perfect end of the series. So at this point, I don't really need Uncharted. I'm okay with them moving on from it. I don't think they need to, go and make another one. If anything, they can remake it if they wanted to. To go alongside like I guess that's if they're making another movie for Uncharted.
Oh yes, they are.
So if they are making another movie for Uncharted, they could remake them. Like that's as far as I think Sony will go with Uncharted because I don't think it's really. I don't see the point in remaking. Or I'm sorry, making another Uncharted at this point in time without Naughty Dog completely involved. It's kind of, and I know that might sound weird, but it's kind of like the same way I feel with Batman and Arkham series. After me and Hunter played Gotham Knight, after the whole Gotham Knight situation with that developer, I don't see anyone aside from Rocksteady making a true Batman type of game that's actually got that quality. And that's not me trying to be biased or anything. It just be like, listen, like I'm used to a certain style. I'm used to a certain like way they go about it. I don't really think they can Naughty Dog squad. And as far as like what they're doing now, I mean, they're even talking about Last of Us as well. I don't know if you heard. They're saying that Last of Us is kind of like it hasn't been set in stone yet because they haven't really, I guess, come up with the story that they think they want to have that big message involved, like about love. Second one was about revenge and kind of redemption. And I don't know what they're gonna do. He said if they do make a part 3, which Last of Us, that's gonna be so. It's cool to see Naughty Dog stand on their ground here in a sense, and they are moving on to better things.
Yeah.
I can't complain about. I'm all for new IPs, all for new experiences. Granted, yeah, will I miss Uncharted? Absolutely. Uncharted is one of my favorite games of all time. That's the first platinum that started me on the road to over 200. So, absolutely. But it's done. That's fine.
I think that's the truth bit. I think it's kind of done. The only thing you can think of is if you maybe gave the franchise to somebody else and they started with like I'm picking this out of thin air, Nathan Drake's kid, right? Because that's the last we saw, and they went off and they did something else, but it would still lose that. It would lose that polish that Naughty Dog kind of gave it. And there was a lot of stories that came out when the whole was it Amy Hennig, right when she left, that Neil Druckmann and his folks that were working on The Last of Us had to stop and go back and do that. And I think that's why he's really done with it. I think that's why he was so fast to say that.
Yeah, Neil,
because he wanted
Neil
to do
has his
part
own
2.
vision. Yeah, Neil has his own little vision, hers, and really see it, different. Like, notice how in all the Uncharted, there's like this supernatural type of twist in majority of them, except for the last one.
Right.
Like, guarantee you that was all Neo who came up with that decision to go, hey, we're gonna go to the pirate theme, right? And there's no ghost pirates or no crazy twists with the pirates. Had this epic sword battle, So
Yeah.
I really do think that that's probably it. He just wants to make his own thing, continue making his own, push his female-led characters, and be done with it, which is perfectly fine. I got no issue with him doing it. I actually thought in a weird way that he probably was going to do what you just said, like have his daughter Cassie get pushed.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if you do that, people are going to start looking at Uncharted in a sense where they're going to be like, oh, you know what that game is? In fact, I played that game before. It's called Tomb Raider. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Those weird comparisons
Yes.
were going to happen. And that's the thing I think they just want to avoid altogether. And personally, I don't think we really need it. Need Uncharted? No, we don't need it. We're perfectly fine on PlayStation.
Yeah.
We got all the great, the Uncharted's not needed. Like Nathan Drake did what he needed to do, and that's where that's where it mattered. PS3 gen, he helped put the PlayStation back on the map when they were really struggling. So
well, Bitman and BRAP, you can have the mic in a second. My one thing I was wondering was though that's really interesting is that they also mentioned The Last of Us 3. A lot of us thought that was just a thing. It was going to happen, especially after a couple months ago. It was something that came out, or maybe it was 6 weeks ago, and they're like, "Yeah, we're going to do a Last of Us 3." And then today he was like, "Not, Last of Us 3 is also questionable. If we can't come up with a good story, a good love situation, whatever. He used the word love in there, but whatever he was talking about was saying, if we can't come up with something, then we're going to can that'll be canned too, because they have 2 other projects going on. So,
well, they're probably waiting for the TV show because all this new stuff they're introducing. Network clickers. I guarantee you a lot of that stuff is going to be part 3. That's why.
Okay. That's going to be interesting. We talked about that on the show last week too, was what would come first, right? The chicken or the egg? Would it be Last of Us 3, the game, to come out, or the season 3 of the show? Because they're sitting here acting like the season, if the numbers keep going the way they're going to go, this is going to get 3-4 seasons as long as Neil and company are willing to sign off on it. So, go ahead, Brad.
Wait, didn't the showrunner Mooch say though that they won't kind of stop until part 3 is made? So, like, I would assume,
right,
and I'm pretty sure you discussed on the Last of Us spoiler cast that season part 2 might be 2 seasons.
I personally believe that would be my opinion, is that part 2 would be season 2 and season 3, and that's because you've got Abby, you've got Ellie. And them coming, it's too much to cover in 8 episodes.
It's a lot, there's a lot,
Well, not even 10. It's more than 10.
Right, 10. Pardon me. Yes.
Well, it's a perfect cutoff too. Like, when you transition over to Abby, right?
Yeah.
That's the perfect cutoff of the season. So yeah, it makes sense.
So 8 for season 2, and then another 8 for season 3 for Abby's part.
See, that
it
makes
might be
sense.
10 episodes
Or
each
10 and
season
10.
for that particular.
Yeah.
Last of Us 2, not no game, man.
That's a long game. I think it's like,
Yeah.
isn't it like 33 hours to just beat it? And if you want to like plat it, it's like 50 or 60. I don't know. It's a long game.
It's long. Yeah, it's
and
definitely
then
long.
production, dude, we won't even know when production starts for season 2, and that could be anywhere from production could start by the end of this year, or
Yeah.
it could start by next year, and then if it starts next year, then that show probably won't come out until 2025.
Mhm.
So like, it may have enough time for part 3 to come out, depending on pre-production and if they even want to go that route. But because of the surge of sales, like crazy surge of sales from season 1, I think PlayStation will be more inclined, and Neil will be more inclined to want to do a part 3.
I would think so.
And that's the
Who do you cast as Abby? That's the. You have a lot of stuff.
And me and Bit talked about that. And no, I don't think they're gonna go bodybuilder. I don't think
You
so.
don't think so? I
No,
think
no.
they only hit up Colin Bach?
No, bro. We just talked about it, bro. She gotta be young,
they
bro.
didn't hear it, but I'm saying Colin Bach.
She gotta be young.
I don't
bro.
think. Yeah, I don't think they're gonna do that.
Like 27.
Probably in good shape.
Abby wasn't 27.
Hey Mooch,
Yes.
I will say this: if Sony can make money off another Uncharted game, they'll make it, and they'll give it. And if Sony, and if anyone can like put another like franchise to another studio and make it successful, it's probably Sony. Given the things that we just talked about earlier in the show,
Mhm.
but yeah, I mean it. Neil Druckmann might be done with it, but if it makes Sony money, they're not going to be done with it. They'll find another studio that will work on it. And again, we talk about like that, the production value, the quality control. Sony has that, so I wouldn't say no that it won't happen. And if it did, it might do well. If it's tied with the movie, maybe it does well. So I mean, I think we'll see. But I mean, I think if anyone could pull it off, it's probably Sony.
You know, it's funny when you say that, Brad, because we really do talk about it, right? It's money, right? Money runs everything. It's just the way it is.
You look at like Gotham Knights, right? Like everyone like oh, Gotham Knights is not going to be good, but it's like the 17th best-selling game of 2022.
Yeah,
and it released in October of 2022. Think about that. In 2 months, it became the 17th best-selling game of the entire year.
Yeah. But the thing is, though, there's one thing that I will say, and guys, I'm speaking for him, but you guys can all tell me if I'm wrong here. But like Neil Druckmann is one of those people. He's kind of like, remember Seinfeld? You guys remember Seinfeld? Maybe there's some people in the audience that don't remember.
Larry David.
But there was no reason for Seinfeld. I could not understand why after 9 seasons, when you had other shows prior that were going 12, 13 seasons, why did Seinfeld end at 9? And his interview, he said, I want to go out on a high note while we're number 1. So the one thing that I agree with you, BRAP, is if Sony sees a way to make money with this, there is an avenue. However, if Neil says, listen, I don't feel you're going to do the game or the franchise justice, and you're going to deteriorate it as you continue to go, he may step in and say, I don't want you to...
Let me ask you a question.
Go ahead, Tim.
Let me ask the panel a question. Who the hell would want to take on that stake to make Uncharted?
That's a good point.
Somebody would.
Uncharted?
Who would have the balls to take it?
That's the thing. Like, that's tough to shoot. I can't see one else from Naughty Dog that game. Like, you could say
maybe Rockstar. I mean, yeah, maybe, or
but it'd have to be an internal studio, right, Tim? I mean, it couldn't be.
I mean, Tim. Like, look what Blue Point. Blue Point could be one of those.
Blue Point can do remakes.
Yeah, remakes.
But Blue Point's super talented, though. I mean, like they took.
It's hard to make. It's their specialization is remake. They're gonna have to make a whole game originally. Has they ever made a whole game?
Well, they're working on an original game right now, though.
Yeah, that is like the rumor.
I guess that you would have to see how they do. But even that's a ton of pressure on freaking.
No, it is. But you know what's interesting? Like we talk about like Naughty Dog, we talk about like The Last of Us, and we talk about Uncharted, and I'm gonna like bring this back to the topic earlier. Talk about Tango GameWorks, and the one thing that really impressed me about Tango with Hi-Fi Rush was that they broke from that formula that many people know them for which is what Naughty Dog did. If you think about like Jack and Dexter, to go to to go to Uncharted, and then go to The Last of Us. I mean, like those, and so, and that's like when I think about Tango GameWorks, like that's what I was kind of thinking about. I'm not saying that's going to happen with.
No, I understand what you're saying. I just think it'd be the only way I could possibly see it is if they take some of the top tier talent and hire some top tier talent and try to like take some people who are familiar with Uncharted to then maybe shape it with somebody. But I don't know. To me, would just do The Last of Us, get a movie out, make a Last of Us 3, do factions. 7 years, 8 years from now, Uncharted, you go right back to it. It's a home run. Movie. You could just you could flip flop it. Yeah, they might want to do something completely.
It's interesting
different.
though, because this factions thing.
Idea for it.
I love the original factions, and now I don't know what this faction. I'm with you. We all keep calling it factions too. Every time I hear Neil say more about it, it sounds like it's something way different than factions.
Probably going to be very good.
That's the thing. Yeah, we were going to have to.
Well, you know though, Tim, it's going to be good. But let me ask you a question: is it going to be good enough to sustain a multiplayer space?
I think
so.
I think with probably having PC day and date with like a multiplayer game like that, it has potential.
Oh, big potential.
Yeah.
And then they could just transition to, Last of Us 3. I mean, I think that's what people would really want. I mean,
yeah.
They could write their own ticket. I mean, I just think right now with the show doing as well as it's doing. They're kind of like set in there. They got a moneymaker. They know it. There's no reason to change. No reason to risk it. You get another game. You're gonna get the show, probably a movie, and then you could revisit. I just don't think that they're moving. They say they're moving past. Listen, time. 10 years passes. A lot of things you could say. You know what? Let's get back to the old days and let's make another Uncharted. You're golden. It's a great thing to have a studio like Naughty Dog. I think Hunter said it. You could arguably make the best studio. They're the best studio. They're elite. It's either them or Rockstar. I mean,
Tim, but you look at like what Druckmann's doing with the Last of Us TV show. Like he's involved in that, and that is, I mean, that show's incredible.
Yeah, it is.
And his hands are all over that. I mean, it's like, I mean. You look at the numbers. Like the first episode was at 22 million viewers now. It was at 4.7 when episode 1 came out.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's now episode 1's now free on YouTube, so that's going to drive.
That's wild
engagement.
to me. Why is it? What kind of a deal did they cut out?
I think factions is going to play into the show. Like I think that might be the case once they run out of material for the main show.
Oh, you're talking like another
I
like
wouldn't be
separate
surprised,
standalone.
Yeah, because notice how The Walking Dead's doing those spin-offs type of thing. I think they might do some stuff like that, like beyond The Last of Us or beyond the world.
I was thinking
that's
that,
thinking outside the box.
But the problem is, Mooch, like think about it like this: like HBO likes to do quality control. They don't want to like put out so many things like AMC did.
Okay,
with Fear the Walking Dead.
That's fair.
And even Walking Dead for being this long, as well as like now Michonne and Rick having their own thing, right? They don't want to do all that. They want to like have quality control. So I think it's like one step at a time that they'll do. Like when it comes to it, so maybe they'll have a spinoff.
That's interesting, yeah, because HBO really doesn't stick around too long, if you know what I'm saying. Yeah, they won't. They'll strike while the iron's hot. But AMC, I mean, and shame on them in a sense. I mean, you guys know this. I say it every week. I really like The Walking Dead. I am the only one that stayed there. I felt like on the that last season, I thought it was just me watching. Was you too? A bit. You were too. Yeah, it was me, you a bit. If we were wearing a virtual reality helmet, I would look over in the theater. It would have only been me and Bit.
Like it was great until it got to that silly dramatic part at the end. Kind of lost me.
Listen, and you could say it was before it, Bit, but once Rick was gone, that was it. I mean, it started
like 5 seconds.
5 seconds. I did see that part.
It was pretty much over. Now there's going to be a Rick and Michonne upcoming series, but it's been postponed to 2024. Sadly, that's kind of sucks. But I got a couple super chats here. I'm gonna read them. We're not gonna comment at them because they're based upon our prior. I'm just reading them because I do respect everybody that gives a super chat. I appreciate it. The great DT Breezy says BitCloud's a real one for that comment, so we know which one he's talking about. Shout out to Bit. Javon Go. I'm probably saying it wrongly. He says Tim on BGST. You said Hellblade was trash. He said he comes back. He says you trashed it as a walking simulator. Come on now. Listen, Javon. I'm going to defend Tim here. That's what I was saying. We all said things, and you know what I mean. And it's like it doesn't mean you feel that way.
There's tweets that I could say. I said Hellblade was a good game, and I knew it was. But have there been times that I've bashed Sony and you know, for just because whatever? I think yeah probably. You know, I mean, we all said things and went back on
exactly.
But
I agree. No, I agree, Tim. And like I said, it doesn't mean you're wrong for it.
I finished Hellblade and I liked it, and I think it's going to be a good game. So you can say what you want, but
I would say I give you kudos, Tim, for playing Persona. I remember you did that, but then you gave it a shot.
Oh wait, Tim, you played Persona?
I finished it, 80 hours.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Did you really?
Okay. Oh shoot!
Holy sugar! Yeah, we can't swear anymore. Yeah. Holy sugar, kid.
Sorry, Mooch. Listen, at the end of the day, you know, we're also, you know, performers here too when we went on GST, stuff like that.
That's
there
true
were times
too.
where we would joke around and we had a lot of fun.
It was honest to God,
it was a great show.
It was hilarious, and you have no idea how much Sunday night meant to me. It's still it's a fond memory. Shout out to Zaire too, by the way. Z gets all the credit. The credit. I still think Zaire is still the most entertaining person on YouTube. If you don't believe me, go check out his channel.
I know.
He is the most entertaining.
That's the only person I know that's in the hospital. Still entertaining in the hospital.
He's out the hospital.
He's home.
No, I know, but he's just.
When he's in the hospital, it's still entertaining. I'm like, dude, you're sick. Like, come on.
No, Z's one of the best. He's the entire reason I found gaming on YouTube. So shout out to Zaire.
He is the OG Tim Dog. Like you're
he really is.
Yeah, he really
is.
Yeah.
When it started, when this whole thing started, I could always remember, and I always tell him, there was Blockbuster Critic, and he was like,
the anti-Xbox news.
Right, he was anti-Xbox, and him and Zaire went on a debate, and like that was like to set it off. Zaire was an entrepreneur. He really did start all this.
Yes.
You know, and you know, he's made a lot of money too, so good to him. You know what I mean?
Deserved, absolutely.
Hustles like that, and he's still doing it.
He is. Shout out to Z. Easy E comes back. He says it again, Tim. We're just reading this because he says Tim is like, you won't ever give Xbox a fair shake, like you didn't give Sony a fair shake because right now you are a pony. What in the question marks? But listen, I think when it comes down to it, I like this. I am looking forward. I'm going to have Tim on again in a month and a half or so.
Hey, Mooch, did someone call you Pony?
Well, it's not my first time.
Never said that. Just take that same
not
advice.
my first time.
I can guarantee you hate Xbox and you're a Sony fanboy. And the discussion. You know what I mean? Like,
you know what?
It's what it is. We all have our allegiances. And
you know what's funny is that it's funny. Like I see Mooch, like when people say Mooch, oh, he's a pony. Like I see you play on Xbox a lot.
I'm on Xbox more than people think.
No, I know because I see it. Like when you pop up my friends list, you were on Xbox playing games.
Yep, a lot. And I know people don't like. One guy says to me in the chat tonight, he's like, Mooch, he's like, you play a lot of Call of Duty. I play Call of Duty. Probably 90% of it I play on Xbox.
But you still play on Xbox. That's the point.
I do. I play on Xbox, and anytime something comes out, I do try. I didn't get a chance to try Hi-Fi yet because I was working, and then I'm doing the show today. But I will over the weekend. It's not like I don't play on Xbox. I play a good amount on Xbox. I just happen to like a lot of the first party and the exclusive deals that Sony's gotten recently. And like Outriders, I played on Xbox. Outriders came to Game Pass. I played it on Xbox. So you know what I mean? That's just the. It's not like I'm not going to Xbox. I mean, I play with you. I believe I played with Slow Mo as well. My point being is, my point being is just that, and I know it got riled up. My only point back in when we were having that discussion was just I'm still waiting for Xbox to, and Tim's right. They're coming, but you know, as Tim
have to prove it, obviously.
Yeah,
but Tim, you feel the same way as Mucho, I think. Though.
In a sense, he does. In a sense, he does.
No, I think. Listen, I think Xbox has deserved a lot of criticism. Sure, have screwed up. They sure have done things. You know, they're in third place for a reason. You know what I mean?
Tim Dog, thank you. I said that last week on my show, and people got so upset. I'm like, there's a reason why they're in third place, and not that you can't enjoy a console that's in third place. You can absolutely enjoy it, but if you're so worried about like what place the console choice is that you have, is like, you're doing it wrong. Like that's not what gaming's about.
Agreed. But listen, my take on Microsoft right now is I think that they've positioned themselves. I mean, you could just see, listen, there's new stuff that just came up on this Call of Duty thing. Like PlayStation wants Xbox not to have the ability to basically have Game Pass on COD. That's what it's going to come down to. So you're going to see all of that. I think that Xbox, if they can commit to their plan and get it, I think they're going to be in really good shape. And they might not be a third place console, but in the end, I do think that all three can all survive and all profit and all be huge. Because gaming in itself it's
a great point.
It's in its infancy.
No, I think first of all, not just
Great
that,
point.
Tim, but you have to go a step further. We kind of need all three to exist.
They're all going to exist.
You know,
They're all going to exist.
It's not for the stereotypical answers you get all the time, but in reality, there's no way in God's green earth. I love to say food because I'm on this January diet and I'm starving to death. But if you have like if I have, and this happens all the time in New York, Tim will attest to this, right? There's at least you'll go on some blocks in New York. There's 3 or 4 pizza places on one block.
I'm starving right now.
Right? I'm starving too, trust me. And legitimately though, but they all outdo each other with a this or a that. If all of a sudden on that block 3 pizza places close and there's the one, first of all, the deals go. Second of all, the quality drops.
100%.
And price increase.
And price
That's a
increase.
great analogy.
Yes.
That's a
Price
Mooch
increase.
analogy.
Right? That's what I'm saying. Tim, I'm
We got
literally
our Mooch
starving to
analogy
death.
for the day. And,
Find a man.
You get one to show.
true.
But no, I think that's in
I
all
think
honesty,
it's big enough for even Amazon and
It is actually.
And while Google they dropped out.
Listen,
but
the way Google just bounced is hysterical.
Well, why wouldn't they bounce? But they're still leveraging that technology with developers.
But why get into it for a year and a half?
That's not going away.
I'll tell you a true story. When Activision, I heard this, I know it's a fact. When Activision was purchased, that was the day that
Really?
Well, Phil Harrison was like, "Yeah, we're out." He's like, "We're done."
that is a true story.
No,
Wow.
it is. It is. But Tim, the one thing that Google will do is they're going to leverage that backbone, the technology behind Stadia, and they're going to leverage that. Like they haven't let that go. Like that's still a
They
thing.
might sell it to Sony. Who knows? Sony.
That's a possibility.
I mean, maybe, but Sony does have that deal with Azure, and so I mean,
No, I don't think
No.
that Azure deal's
No,
done.
that
man.
deal's done.
it's
I
not
agree.
done.
Yeah, it's
They're
done.
hating each other right now.
Yeah, they're not
Well,
really hanging out.
No,
look,
it's done. No, it's they talked to in the System 7 the beta tester, they
Yep.
have streaming in it. But it's not Xbox, it's not Azure.
No, it's
I
not.
think
Tim's
Well,
right.
That's
right.
I wonder if it's not Azure. So maybe it's Azure for enterprise and not
no,
gaming.
it's not. I think that memorandum or whatever they did, I think it fell through.
So it's not for even Azure Enterprise because
I don't think so.
I thought it was Enterprise too.
I knew that it was definitely a part of their like I think it was just they were going to stream through the cloud using Azure, but as time went on, it's now Amazon.
Maybe they're incorporating AWS Enterprise too. But I thought part of the deal was also not just gaming for Sony,
it was
but
like
enterprise.
lenses is also like
and that's
Sony
enterprise.
had some stuff like that. But no, I don't think they're the best of friends right now. It's
I
getting
agree.
real ugly. Look at Frank Shaw's tweet. That's all I'll say.
Well, I mean, I get that, but
you know who Frank Shaw is? Just
but
look at the tweet. It's ugly.
I get that, but
You have to send that to me,
But
too.
again, at the end of the day, if it's enterprise business for Microsoft, they're gonna be like, you know what, we'll take your business, Sony.
Of course, I don't think so. I think Sony. Maybe they kept some of it, but I know that the gaming was obviously gonna be part of it.
Maybe that the gaming's not part of it. I mean, I don't know, but
Yeah, maybe it's not definitely because
No.
they're gonna Sony, and I'm proud that they're doing that. I'm happy that they're doing. They're gonna have a cloud like Xbox is. Like you're gonna be able to, you know, or if you want to say The Last of Us comes up on the storefront, let's say The Last of Us 2, the remake comes up,
Mm-hmm.
and it's on the store, and you don't want to download it, you can play it right off the cloud.
Yeah.
You know, stream it like that, or you just want to jump.
That's
into
the one
a
thing,
game.
Tim. I'll say this on both sides. I said I'm just not into the cloud thing. Like it's never
Yeah, I know,
worked
I know
great.
you
It's the
never liked
future,
that.
Mooch.
Well, no, and I'm not.
I know you've never
I don't
been
want
a
to fight
cloud
the
guy.
future.
That's what turns you off.
I
think,
don't like that
It's the
because
future.
it doesn't
You
work.
just like native hardware, Mooch. Just like
Well, yeah, I do, Red. But you know what, Red? Here's the thing. Every time somebody takes a picture and they're like, "Hey, I'm playing,"
the
whether it was
future.
Stadia or xCloud or anything, they're like, "Oh my God, it works so well." Meanwhile, if you look right behind the device they're holding, is their router. They're home. Of course, it works great. Show me on the
Mooch,
subway.
I don't disagree with you on that.
It doesn't
but-
work when you're out and about. It's not
but
great.
Mooch, would you
I
agree
mean, we're
that
gonna get there.
maybe at some point, maybe 10 years, because
Yes, well, 10 to 15 years, I agree.
You know, if you debated, like, we talked about Xbox Live, I was
Right.
a beta tester, and that was the same thing, like, that people used to say to me about Xbox Live. Oh, well, you know, not everyone has broadband, 56K, you know, that's
Yeah, it's true.
and so maybe in the future that might be, you know, an option.
Well,
you know?
here's
That
here's
might
my
be something
only
that's tangible.
listen. You never say never. You don't speak in absolutes, right? But
Yeah,
hear me out,
exactly.
Brap. Hear me out.
Yeah.
What has grown more exponentially over the last 10 years? PC gaming.
agreed.
Well, as it should, because it's
Right.
the best platform
Guess
to play
what?
video games.
That's fine.
And I hope Tim Dog has a PC.
If that's where we're,
Dude,
he does.
2080.
He does. That's what I have, Tim. I have a 2080
I
Ti
was
and I have it
actually- There was
left.
a time where
Hey Tim, it's time to upgrade.
It's old as shit. I know. I have an
Whoa,
old.
whoa.
Hey,
But-
I had a 2080 and it was. You're right. I can't say that anymore.
I know. I used to
Yeah.
think it was.
2080 is still good.
Yeah, but it's time to get a. I would get.
Depending if you want to go
40.
4K. I mean, if you want to go 4K.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah, you're
then,
good. You're
You're
good,
better off putting the
2080.
money into the CPU, right? And just getting buy a 30 card, buy a 3090, a 3080, a 3070, and
You
just
know
up.
what I
your
found with
CPU.
PC gaming, to be honest, is I'm a little bit. I could be a little bit OCD. Like
Mhm.
I get my PC and I just kept running like those what are they called, stress tests or the
Yeah.
digital 3D
Yes.
marks. I got obsessed with that. Like
Tim, that's like
and-
marriage.
and I would always try to play the game overextended. So like I would like play like Doom, and I'd play it, 16x anastrophic. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Doom is the best, like Doom Eternal, especially best optimized port on PC.
Yes, I would.
That thing can
yes,
run
yes.
on basically anything.
But you know what I mean? Like I
Doom's
would
really
always
great on game, yeah.
overextend the game, and my frames would be like at 22, and I would get mad. I just I would tinker too much. But it is to be honest, PC is a lot of fun building a PC.
Customization.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I do. I also like that you have that with the cross-buy. I like that.
And not all the games are $70, by the way.
No, they're
Yeah,
not.
Sure, Dead Space Remake on PC is $60.
There you go.
Yeah, I just got mine for free, quote unquote free through EA Pro, so I'm good.
Oh yeah.
I
Oh,
wonder how we talked about Forspoken on a
It's-
4090. That would be probably pretty like with everything jacked up.
Yeah, I saw a couple pictures of that, Tim, with someone
Well,
bragging about a
It does-
4090.
apparently doesn't run 4K 60 locked with the 4090.
I know. I heard.
No,
That's
I'm
a big
sorry. No,
yikes.
that's
Oh, I
Dead
don't know.
Space. That's Dead Space. I'm sorry.
Well,
Dead
the guy had like a
Space.
111 12K or 112K and then he had 4090 that he was getting 60 with everything.
Okay.
The problem,
yeah.
the problem with PC gaming, Tim, I kind of have. It's a different type of the OCD. Is you always want to have the best of the best of the best with honors, right? So if an
Yeah,
Xbox
I
Series
hear ya.
X Pro or a PS5 Pro, we were going to get into that tonight. And I didn't get a chance to. Or the PS5 Pro, which they're saying now is not going to be a thing. But if the Pro models came out, and I think Bit's a big fan of not like. But if I'm speaking for you and it's wrong, tell me
Might
if
as
I'm
well
wrong.
just do
But
the last subject.
I don't mind. Well, yeah, we could do that. I was going to be honest. I would look forward to. I always like the mid-gen refresh. I like them. I know I'm the alone in there. That's fine. It's fine. But it's
I think
why I have a 2080 Ti and I'm jonesing to get a 40 series. But the minute I get a
100%.
40 series, they're gonna make Mooch. You should have. What does everybody say to you? Should have waited for that 50, man. Should have waited for that 50.
Well, I could say that I don't think I agree with. I think it just came out. I don't think there's going to be a hardware refresh, especially because of the way it.
You think both
the
won't?
Gen started. I think both. Yeah, I don't. The Xbox is not. I don't think I think they're gonna have PlayStation 6 and they're gonna have Xbox.
I think you're right, Tim. I think there was an article that Hunter you might have posted that they're thinking of a PS6 instead of a
Hunter
Pro or
posted it.
something.
And I saw someone else posting that the rumors they're not going to do a Pro. They're going to go right to, that's what I have right there. They have a PS6 is the next thing for Sony. And I would have guessed, listen, these guys are all in line with each other, Xbox and Sony, right? So if Sony's saying this, or this is the word that's getting out, Xbox is probably the same thing. Yeah, exactly. They're following suit.
Yeah, and that was this generation was actually a generational leap compared to last generation where we had the Jaguar
so wait a minute.
cores.
So let me ask you guys this follow-up question, because that's kind of an easy volleyball. Let me throw something else at you real quick. Do we see PS6 and do we see Xbox Series X2 in a much shorter duration then? If this generation won't have a mid-gen, are we slated for new consoles maybe 27, 28 instead of 30? Because it should have been 30, right?
I'm saying 29, 30.
You think 29, 30 still?
Yeah, around there.
Okay, so again, guys, I got to play devil's advocate. We just said we all know what's inside these boxes we have. You don't think by the time we get to 2026, now you're going to have the 50 series will be out by then? We're going to be so far behind.
They probably will, but here's the thing. Like, you still haven't even maxed out the consoles as it is.
Yeah, current gen games are starting to come out.
It's only
They're not even
23.
using half of the things that they're supposed to be. I don't know. I mean, listen, you're right. But I do think that the way the generation started with the supply issues, still even listen, Xbox X had supply issues for whatever reason this holiday, and it killed them.
Yep.
But I mean, they're still, both of them are struggling to always get the. I think right now they've got a hold on it, but this is 3 years later.
Yeah.
3 years to get to be able to finally walk into a store and get a PS5 basically is let's do the PS4 generation. As popular as it was, you could always go into a store a week after PlayStation was out, and get a PlayStation 4. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They didn't have this problem, so.
The thing is, though, Chad Stud in the chat, he says, Mooch, it's always been like this. That's true, Chad, but hear me out for a second. The thing is we've also had a mid-gen refresh last gen, which was a new thing. They're not going to do that this gen, seemingly. So now they probably go, well, the audience, the customers, we would normally go to 29, 30. Now let's do 27, 28 because we're going to give them 7, 8 years. Bit's right. We haven't utilized the boxes yet. But that's what they're looking at it? That's an us problem, they're saying. So now, starting this year, Xbox and PlayStation are putting out games respectively for the Series X and the PS5. So you're going to get 4 years with this box that you currently have in your home. And I don't know if necessarily I don't think they're going to care to go that extra 2 years because it's just going to be so far behind the PC. I mean, I don't know. I would be happy to be wrong. But
we have precedent though from the previous from the PS3 and Xbox 360 generation that went well beyond.
Well, that was also because of that state of the economy there too, right?
Yeah,
and also this state of the economy is also not that great either, which is probably going to suggest that they'll probably do something like this.
I mean, you think about supply chain, you think about macroeconomics that are impacting, the cost of consoles now.
Yeah,
and yeah, absolutely. Like, I mean, we might be looking at like a long generation, which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing.
Also, and not to interrupt, it takes 6 years to make a game now.
That is true.
A
AAA game.
Yeah, AAA game.
Yeah.
And AAA games are the only games that are going to really, press the system for graphics pretty much. So So
you're saying that would lead us right up to that.
Squire was even saying that if you wanted to make a game now, you're running yourself into PlayStation 6 or Xbox 5.
Yeah, Xbox 5.
Because,
Hey, Tim, where's my game that eats monsters?
Oh,
Ryan Landis says, Mooch, the Switch is still killing it. The thing is, Ryan, first of all, Nintendo's is an anomaly, first of all. But secondly, I will say for the first time in the last 6 months, you guys know we've seen it, the media is finally starting to call out Nintendo. They're saying, I'm sorry, right? They're getting called out for the first time. They're saying, sorry, this game would be a lot better if you had some new hardware.
If you can map a controller.
Right. If you can,
Well, I mean,
give
look,
me some
they're not-
achievements. Do something.
They're
don't
not
even have a
wrong.
team.
You know,
They have gotten such a pass because all the fighting is Xbox, Microsoft, Xbox, Sony,
yeah.
and that's all that's lit up. That's all that's talked about. And then meanwhile, Nintendo's laughing to the bank because it's outselling everyone.
And they're killing it. Yeah, they're killing it and
Tim,
laughing to the bank. Yes.
They're not. Nintendo's not going to put out a new like Switch Pro until like their bottom lines get
2025,
impacted. Yeah.
I don't even think there'll be a Switch Pro. I think it'll just be the next successor console, like
The
Switch 2
Elite.
or whatever.
Yeah.
something
So,
like
yeah.
that.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to deviate from that formula with these Switch because it's just.
Oh, it's
I mean,
selling like hotcakes. It's just like
Still,
Well, yeah, it's a
insane.
hybrid. It's a hybrid console. Like, I mean, that was they
I
basically
don't
they
think
can't.
people use it for the hybrid. I think they play on a mobile. Like I just think they take the Switch itself.
I think so too. I think it's
Why?
like it was a smart idea for them to go hybrid because I feel like their hugest demographic was the mobile or handheld market, right?
It was the 3DS.
Like the
They
3DS,
cannibalized the
DS.
3DS, but they also cannibalized their console business because they took like okay, like we have the 3DS. It's a big success, and we have this console business previously to the what's it called, the Wii U, and they combined both, and so I think that's why it sold so well because it gives people the flexibility to play on their TV or play on the go. So, I don't see them deviating from that at all.
See, getting back to the on the go thing, like we were saying before with the xCloud and the Stadia going down, and all that, like that's why I actually ended up buying the Steam Deck. I wanted to have
a great device.
I wanted to have
Is it good? Is
I
worth
love it,
like
dude.
$500.
Well, you get it for 400, but
I'm sorry, 400.
No, but I mean, no, but is it worth it? That value's in the eye of the beholder. So the reason I say it is every once and again, there's nights where I don't feel like striking up a game that is a long-winded game, like a Forspoken or like a Halo Infinite campaign. I don't want to. So what I do is
ask you a question.
I'll be on the couch, but I play it natively, and it's on there.
How does the wife feel about that though?
What having the Steam Deck on the couch?
Yeah.
Well, whether I'm engrossed into the OLED or I'm engrossed into that, what's the difference? I'm still engrossed. I'm gone. I'm mentally out. But no, I think it's a way to play some games. And like you guys were saying, Doom is a phenomenal example. It's a great game to play on Steam. But yeah, nonetheless, I think that's the one thing when it comes to mobile gaming. I still like the idea that, and you're seeing the Steam Deck's killing it. It's killing it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think when it comes to, at the end of the day, that's how I see that progressing. That market is.
I don't know if it's killing it, but I mean, how many units have they sold?
I think it's way
let me
better
see.
than like any of the hardwares that they've had before. I don't know if it.
Okay,
it
well,
definitely,
yeah.
it definitely
I
probably
agree with
more
that.
than the Valve
Well-
Index. I think personally, but it's getting to the point where there are talks about, I believe, for a successor, and they had like an interview a while back that they won't make another Steam Deck 2 until the hardware is there, like the graphics are up to their standard, like the GPU and all
that's
that.
a smart move. Don't put out another handheld that's not gonna have the power, the battery length, that thing. And to answer your question, BRAP, I looked it up. I knew this, but this is all they have recorded as of October 3rd. This is before it was readily available to you. You had to get on a wait list. As of October 3rd, 2022, they had shipped over 1 million units.
Okay.
So
we're saying
yeah.
this like, hey, don't release power, but it's gonna fall on deaf. Bro, whenever they drop the Switch 2 power,
Yeah, I think Switch 2 will
yes.
not be as powerful
No.
as a Steam Deck.
I meant the Steam
what
Deck
I've
2,
always
but
wanted.
no,
I
it
think the
probably
Steam Deck
won't,
2 is going to be, I think that's going to be an impressive unit. I think that's where you start to see the masses jump into it a little bit more.
What, Switch 2?
No, Steam Deck 2.
No,
Yeah.
But I think
Nintendo's got the IP though.
Oh no,
course.
listen. Nintendo. Tim
Unless
said it.
it
Nintendo
falls
gets away
into
with murder.
fears.
They can do whatever they want when the Switch Pro or whatever you want the Switch 2 comes out. It's gonna sell like gangbusters. It's gonna sell like hotcakes, and it doesn't matter. You have the IP. That's what it comes down to. That's what the entire argument always comes down to is the IP. And Nintendo has great IP. Sony has a very steady amount of IP, and Xbox has their beloved IP, and now they're grabbing more IP. So, we'll see how the future ends up. But at the end of the day, I do recommend, if you guys do like gaming on the go, which I'm not even a big fan of, the Steam Deck is a very, very good choice. I mean, you're going to be able to play pretty much anything you want. You can play all of Xbox games on there. You can get Game Pass on there. And you can now get, I mean, they're a year or two later, but you get some Sony games on there. And
emulate.
And I don't advise it because but if you want to, you can emulate your way through the entire generation of Nintendo and Sega.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that little thing that fits in your backpack, you could play generations up to games that came out 5 minutes ago. It's got something. Elden Ring plays beautifully on it.
Yeah, and I tell people this all the time. It's like, it's good, like, especially on vacations where you don't want to like bring a huge console and lug it around, like go into like a different state or anything like that. And having a Steam Deck like that in the case, like,
so what I did
so,
too,
like,
Red, I bought which was overpriced. There's other ones on the market. I don't recommend you do the one from Valve, but I bought the Steam Deck dock. And so now when you go on travel, the dock is legitimately smaller than your iPhone. So you throw that in your bag, literally, then you can hook it that and an HDMI cable. Now you're gaming, your PC gaming through your television set or wherever you are in your hotel or wherever you're enjoying your vacation. So you can do it that way as well. So there's a lot of different ways to make it, and it's a lot. Getting to Red's point, it's just a little bit better than throwing your Xbox. We're not throwing the Xbox Series X or the PS5 in a backpack. I'm not doing
What
it.
about Mooch, what about xCloud on the phone though? That's
the what?
option, right?
The what? You say Xbox on your phone?
No, xCloud.
Try xCloud at the beach. See how you do with that.
Well, I mean, I have. It works kind of well, but
yeah. Okay. Come on, man. Brap. You know it's not true.
no, it has. No, actually.
What were you playing?
Actually, huh?
What were you playing?
Halo.
Competitive or the campaign?
No campaign.
All right.
No, I would never play a competitive game.
Well, no, I wouldn't recommend playing.
yeah.
I wouldn't recommend playing multiplayer at all on a beach.
No, but actually, like the xCloud actually works pretty well for mobile devices.
It does. It works well. It's not my preferred way to game. I like the mobile aspect, hence the Steam Deck, but I don't like the cloud stuff. I don't think you said it yourself, Brap. Mooch, would you say 10, 15 years from now? Sure. 10, 15 years from now, I'll be a big cloud fan. Right? It'll work. It's got to work on demand. Like, think about your light switch in your room right now, Brap. If you walked in half of your rooms when you flipped the switch, the light didn't come on, or it came on maybe like 20 seconds later, wouldn't really, you know what I mean? You want instant on lighting. It's the way it is. So you don't want to be like, well, it kind of works. When you're gaming, you need it to work.
Well, no, I mean, there's certain games that it works best for.
Works better, right?
Let me just preface that. So
correct. That is, and I agree with that. But like, then you're supposed to pick and choose the games that you kind of want to play.
I will say this, I've actually kind of been impressed with xCloud. Like, we're talking about like the Steam Deck. Like, I like for certain games, not all games, I've been impressed.
All right, well, listen, I'm getting yelled at in the chat. They're like, Mooch, I live in the UK and it's getting late. No, listen, guys, I kept these guys for 3 hours. That's not right. Poor BitCloud hasn't eaten since breakfast. You know,
I'm good.
He's literally, Bit has literally done.
Hey, Mooch, you got me in trouble, by the way, man.
Did I?
Yes. 3 hours, yes.
So tell Mrs. Brap, I do send my apologies. I will not have regular 3-hour podcasts. That's another thing from back in the day. We used to do 3-4 hour podcasts. I try to put a limit of 2 hours on it. I failed. By my apologies. I'm going to go in reverse order here. Say thank you guys so much to the chat. Outstanding of you guys. Please hit the like button. I didn't say it enough tonight. I'm going to go in reverse order. I love doing that. The great xCloud Tim Dog. Tim, it's great having you on, buddy. Listen, I don't care. I love the banter. It's what I live for. Like, it's
everyone will be clipping that and they'll be loving it.
Absolutely.
We'll be laughing, bro.
Clip away.
It was listen, you're a great guy, great talent.
Thank you, buddy.
And I hope you keep doing it. You know,
like I said, as long as people listen,
you get a radio show or something. You know, I've always said that to you.
You have, and
I don't know how viable it is.
I don't either anymore. You know what I mean? I take something on Sirius satellite radio, and they're not doing well.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
They're not doing well at all.
They're not doing well at all.
I wish Sirius would have a gaming channel, like we just even.
Why wouldn't they have that, Tim? That's been bothering me.
Because they're boobs. Because they're boobs.
Spotify. They got. I mean, don't get me wrong. Joe Rogan is phenomenal, but why does Spotify? Why do they have a gaming show?
Come on.
What's that?
I mean, I don't know. There's enough YouTube podcasts to just combine and
That's
have,
part of the problem.
you know.
Yeah.
But no, I'm saying like if you could actually get people and sign them on, I mean, you'd have, Big Cloud and his podcast at a certain time. And I don't know why Sirius wouldn't look into something like that. Who knows? I mean, I don't know. I would love to, because I listen to Sirius and Howard's gotten to the point where I'm not even I can't
Yeah.
even listen to him.
That makes me. That's two of us, Tim.
I stopped listening to Howard too.
He's just packing.
Yeah.
But I would love to have like games.
He's getting old, Tim.
I agreed. But like I would love to have gaming that we could listen to. There's
Why not?
Talk on anywhere except for YouTube.
YouTube. That's it.
Yeah.
Legitimately YouTube.
And
But
that's
great
YouTube,
show,
by the
guys.
way.
Awesome panel.
Yes.
Great people here. It's all fun. Like I said, in real life, love everyone. I'm a good person. I don't take this video game shit to sleep. They don't take your work home with you. I don't take.
That's a great way. Yes, Tim, I hope you don't mind. I'll use that and I'll give you credit. Don't take your work home with you. Once the podcast is over, it goes back to gaming and having a good time. Honestly, we learned a lot over the damn pandemic.
Great
So
show.
Tim, thanks for being here, buddy. I appreciate
Even
it. Life's
prior
too
to
short.
that.
Absolutely.
Yes.
No, Tim, thanks for being here, buddy. And as you know, I will be bugging you in at least 2 or 3 months to
Don't
get you
be
back
bugging
on.
me. We also gotta talk about maybe having a Giant show or a Mets.
Let's do a Mets
preview.
show. Wait, as soon as we get a little closer to April.
All right, maybe I'll talk to Wardy and see if we can have us on.
Please.
Dead show. This
All right, guys.
Gotta get bit on there.
Peace, Tim. Thank you, buddy. Yeah, no, Ben, I wanted to do it. I never said no.
No, you did. We never.
No, I know, because there was nothing really. I remember I tried to get us with the great Paul Tassi.
Yeah, it was Paul. Yeah.
And Paul's like, I can't make it. I'm like, all right, well, there goes that show. So, anyways, no, but Ben, thanks for being here, buddy. I appreciate it tonight, man. Great to have you. Let everybody know where they can find you. And I'm on this, like I say, this awful January diet where I try to feel bad and I don't eat like I did for the past 2 months at the end of last year, where I consumed everything in sight. So I really watch my P's and Q's here, and I'm starving to death. So you must be hungry because you used to do podcasts in a row. Let people know where they can find you, buddy.
Good, brother. I'm fine. Shout out to everybody in the chat. On Big Cloud Gaming, Twitter, Ed Hood for obviously player. You can find podcast Friday 5 p.m.
Appreciate that bit. Thank you so much, buddy. Appreciate you being here tonight on short notice. And then speaking of short notice, I got the great next gen player. Hunter, thanks for being here tonight, buddy. I really appreciate it. As you can tell, we call it Crossfire for a reason. And we love having you on the show, buddy. It's always good to get your insight. You're very, very active on the Twitters. But let people know where they can find you, buddy. And I look forward to your next visit.
Yeah, man. That was a lot of fun. Mooch, you're such an awesome dude. I love chatting with you. I love chatting with the panel here. I saw you tweet out recently that you were playing Forspoken and you actually were enjoying the game. And I was so happy and surprised and shocked because I'm so, like, my timeline was all just like, people that haven't played the game, tweeting hate towards the game. So you know what, dude, I always say this, man. I always respect people that they get rid of, like, they don't worry about all the hate that's out there. They play the game for themselves. They form their own opinion and they let their opinion out in the wild, man. So that's what you got to do, man. Yeah, like, for sure. It's like, how many people out there that are criticizing this game and other games, like, probably haven't even played the games yet. So yeah, man, respect for that. I think that's awesome. And yeah, man, it was great to be here, and I definitely want to come back soon. So you guys can find me on Twitter, same handle, Next Gen Player.
No, I appreciate that. And, an old slogan that we used to say years ago is "Don't knock it till you try it," and that's something that I really try to do.
That's what she said.
Totally, yeah. You can like. If I see a trailer and I don't like it, I'll tweet it or I'll talk to people and say I don't like the trailer. But like, having like the hate campaigns, you know what I mean? Like having multiple tweets and just completely ripping a game apart. I'm like, dude, at least play it.
Well, that's it, Hunter. And I'm kind of glad you say that. I'm not going to go into another segment, but that's one of the things that's always true. And it's fine. People can say that I have my opinions on one way or the other. That's fine. That's fine. But the one thing I don't do, you'll see on Twitter, I don't do it. I'll pose the question here on the panel. Some people tell me that I'm right. Some people say that I'm wrong. They don't agree with me. That's fine. But I don't go on Twitter ever and just say like, oh, like Hi-Fi Rush, right? I didn't get on there. I didn't post one thing to say this game stinks. You shouldn't play. If you enjoy the game, enjoy the game. You know, now this is a talk show. And people say, well, you can't bring that up. You can't. Well, if you can't bring things up and have a discussion on a talk show, this is going to be a very boring show. You know what I mean? So I always think that it's good to have open discussion. I encourage debate. I encourage people having a difference of opinion. But I completely agree with you, Hunter. You know, let people enjoy what they enjoy. If you enjoyed, you know, whatever it is there, Forspoken or Hi-Fi or High on Life, go for it. Enjoy it. And post it, but you don't have to post all the hate on Twitter. That I completely agree, Hunter, and I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, that's a great point.
We said we were going to start this week off with a bang on the last show. It happened.
What was it, Bit? I don't know what you mean.
No, when we were talking about review scores, we was like, "Oh, Monday is going to be interesting."
Oh,
yeah. Dude, well, like I said, I was reviewing it, and I was like, you know, I enjoyed the game, and I talked to a few other reviewers, and they're like, yeah, I didn't like the game, and I was like, oh, geez, I thought it was gonna be like a Days Gone all over again. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
scores all over the map, and
it
then
kind of sounds like a Days Gone. Kind of funny, yeah.
It's a perfect analogy, I think, for that.
So that's why IGN. I was like, oh Lord, it's about to be it's gonna be a messy week.
Yeah, and actually, I actually avoided Days Gone because then when I went to go play it, I'm like, wow, this is actually pretty good. So
yeah, no, I platinumed Days Gone. I thought it was very good.
And I love Rise Sun Room, by the way. That's like one of my favorite Xbox One launch games. So that's like a Metacritic 60, I think. So.
Yeah, that one didn't sit too well with me. I was more of a Dead Rising 3 guy during that era. But again, if you're noticing the Mooch trends, I like Days Gone. I like Dead Rising 3. You guys are seeing what I'm going with this, the zombie thing. So yeah, that's just my thing. I really dig it. I'll never.
Days Gone is actually a great example because like,
well,
Days got banned. He got banned like for the media, and
well, it did.
Like,
but
when I played
it's not their fault.
I was like, wow, this is actually pretty good.
It's not their fault for dinging it. Sony shouldn't have released it without that patch.
Yeah,
the patch.
Well, yeah, the
fixed
patch
the problem.
Oh yeah, it was terrible.
Yeah.
Plus the thing is like, because I was on the review program for that game too, and the patch came out. I think it was like post launch or at launch, but we all played it without that patch, and it was rough. Like,
really? Okay.
The game that players ended up playing was not the game that we played during the review process. It was a much worse version of the game. So, you know, take what you will. But I mean, that happens with a lot of games though, which is really weird. And that's why I think like when it comes to review scores and Metacritic, like kind of take it for a grain of salt, because like I can tell you for a fact that most games you play before the day one patch. Like sometimes they'll release it, you know, a couple of days before it releases, so the reviewers can just sort of see the difference when they have it. But a lot of times it comes out on day one, and reviews are out the day before, so they're definitely not reviewing the same game that you're playing on day one.
Yeah, no, that's true.
That's
and
a great point.
That's the one thing that I got to give credit to Hunter, to Bit, that get the review score or the review copies early for some of these games. In one way, I am, as a Mooch, I'm so jealous. I'm like, these guys get games early. It's so great. But the one thing you do have to, you know, and that's a topic for a different day, but these guys that review these games, they're not always getting the premium product yet because they're playing it 2 weeks early. And these devs are working on some of this stuff right to the last minute. That's every game almost has a day one patch nowadays. So,
oh, dude, there's a reason why Hunter never touched Gotham Knights again. There's a reason why.
Yo, by the way, guys, go over and check out BitCloud Gaming and watch his Gotham Knights review.
Listen, you guys saw a game, but it looked fine in the video. But when me and Hunter play, what was it? 10 frames on the bike? 10
frames. Yeah.
It's like,
dude, Bit, I've never heard you so nasty towards a game in my life.
Oh, dude, I was broken. That broke my sanity. Like, what is this?
I think at one point, and I'm paraphrasing, at one point it was, by the way, Bit's review is like 33 minutes or something too. And like, and he's like, you know, I shouldn't say this early on, but he's like, I just can't, I don't want, you guys don't buy this game. Don't buy the game. Don't play it. I'm going to do the review. It's just bad. And I was like, oh my God, he was like going in on it. It was like 6 minutes into a 30-minute review. He's like, I cannot recommend this game. I can't. You said something to that nature. It wasn't quite those words, but it was very funny. I was like, yo, that's hysterical. Bit's usually always giving everything a fair shot. You know what I mean? So I'm like, yo, Bit must have hated this thing.
I tried to love it, man. I tried.
You did your best, Bit. I appreciate it, buddy.
I really
No,
tried.
it was good stuff. Red, listen, honestly, I kept you here a while too. Always great to have you on the show, Red. I know that, again, usually I flash the Mooch symbol, and Red's like, I'll be right there, dude. I got you covered. So, Red, thank you so much, buddy. I appreciate your take. Love what you're doing on Twitch and YouTube as well, and let people know where they can find you.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitch and YouTube at Redhood420, and like Big Cloud said, check us out at Big Cloud's channel for RGT 5 p.m. Friday. And yeah, it was a great show. A lot of back and forth, and I enjoyed that. And like I said, Mooch, anytime you need me, I'll probably be there, unless somehow I'm not able to. I always enjoy CrossFire, and hopefully everybody else did enjoy it.
I
guys,
truly
make sure to hit
appreciate
the
that.
like button as well.
Thank you, Red. Honestly, those kind words, they last long in my mind. I really appreciate that. Those are the types, Tim said it earlier. He was like, he goes, I hope you keep doing it, Mooch. I've always said this. As long as people listen, I'd love to keep doing it because I love the podcast. It's a lot of fun. The gaming world happens to be the thing that I love the most, outside, of course, of family. It's just a lot of fun. I've enjoyed it since I was a kid. I always used to run. It's how old I'm dating myself. Used to wait for that Nintendo Power. When that Nintendo Power showed up, my day was made.
Oh my god, that magazine was great, man.
My day was made,
Mooch,
BRAP.
it was everyone's day.
I know.
mean, like I remember that it was Nintendo. Actually, before that, it was Nintendo Fan Club.
It was
If
Fan
you remember
Club.
that?
Yeah, it was a thinner, almost like magazine-y looking thing,
It
like
was.
a
And
pamphlet
when,
type
when
of thing.
Power dropped,
Yeah.
it was a thicker magazine. It
Oh,
was like
yeah.
GQ.
You kidding me? It
Yeah,
was like
it was-
when Power came out, it was like an Encyclopedia Britannica. It was fantastic.
Oh, it was. I mean, I'll never forget Castlevania dropping on Nintendo Power, like the front cover. Oh man,
I have a few of them, I think. So I'm gonna take some pictures of them. BRAP, let me let you do your outro. BRAP, let everybody know. And you know what? Listen, I'll go ahead and plug quickly. Great BRAP on Wednesday.
thank you,
Yes,
because we had you.
I was there.
Yeah,
right?
it was great.
It was great. It was really
It was
good.
great.
It was a good show.
No, it was a great show. It was a great show. But no, Mooch, seriously, man, great show as always. And you know what's really cool, man? Like a little bit of nostalgia here because like I've known you and Tim Dog for like 10 years.
Yeah.
And so that's cool. Like here we are, older,
Yeah, older.
Yeah, 10 years into whatever this is, and we're still talking video games. That's kind of cool.
It is cool, dude. I
really
never
is.
thought it would last this long, and I love every minute of it. I don't take it for granted. I really don't. That's why I try, and the audience seems to appreciate it, and I thank the audience so much. Guys, the audience has to understand, I wouldn't be here without you guys. I don't care if you're an Xbox fan, a Switch fan, a PC fan, a PlayStation fan. It doesn't really matter. Even if you're a retro fan, I don't care. You make a Mooch. I don't play any of the new consoles. I still play my Sega Master System. I welcome you as well. I just think that it's really great to be like, BRAP, you make a good point, to sit here and be able to talk games.
Yeah, absolutely.
After 10 years. And this was something that was so taboo before, right? I couldn't go into my work office and be like, geez, that boss in that third level, huh? I'd be like, what? What?
Exactly.
So the fact that we can do that is just awesome. Made some great friendships. And like we say, if you can every day, get better. Make yourself better. Be better. But BRAP, thank you very much for being here
Like
tonight.
Danny
buddy.
Dimes.
Yeah, like Danny Dimes, exactly. If you watch his career, he's gotten better. Be Danny Dimes. Be Danny Dimes. Be Danny Dimes. No, that being said, guys, let's just have a great weekend. Enjoy what you're going to enjoy. Monday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, we are going to be doing The Last of Us Reactions, Episode 3. We've had an outstanding week 1 and 2. We're going to do week 3, 7 p.m. Eastern time. And yes, I planned on Twitch streaming this weekend, but I just didn't get my mixer set up yet. And I'm meeting up with the great Matrix Gamer tomorrow night. So I probably won't get to streaming until next week, but we will be on Twitch as well. I promise you guys more stuff on the channel. And my Forspoken review will be out hopefully Monday or Tuesday of next week. I'm working on it over the weekend. That being said, guys, enjoy your night. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Consider joining the channel, and we'll see you here on CrossFire next Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Good night, and enjoy your weekend.